We will be able to house approximately 40% of our students on campus when we finish the last phase of our residence hall project, which will be completed this spring. The second chart that I wanted to show you is an increase in academic competitiveness and the stature of the institution. Obviously, if you're going to attract the state's most brightest students, and if you want to keep those students from going outside of the state to private liberal arts colleges in Kentucky and Florida and other places, you're going to have to be academically competitive and nationally known. And one of the charts that I've shown you is the increase. You can see the trend in the increase of the SAT scores of our incoming freshmen. In 1998, we were below the university system average, below the university system average in our SAT scores. And now we're with the top 4 institutions in the state. And that, of course, includes Georgia Tech and University of Georgia. And those trend lines keep going up, and our goal is to have the same average SAT for our freshmen within the next 5 years as the University of Georgia. In addition to SAT scores, we've developed a healthy presence in significant national rankings. For example, just recently we were listed as one of the 100 best values in public colleges in Kiplinger's Personal Finance. And I need to tell you that only 3 institutions in the university system of Georgia made that listing, and the other 2 were Georgia Tech and University of Georgia. So we're right up there where we should be in those kinds of rankings. We are the top public master's institution in Georgia, and ranked 15th in the South in U.S. News and World Report. And the South goes from Virginia to Texas, so it's a big territory. And there are a number of other distinctions that you'll see have been coming this year, and 7 years ago we weren't in any of these listings. So we're beginning to gain that recognition, and that will help us recruit our students. We also had to move, as I mentioned before, from a predominantly local recruiting base to a statewide recruiting base. And that pie chart that's on the handout shows you that in 1998, 46% of our students came from Central Georgia, and now 28% of our students come from Central Georgia. 72% come from other areas of the state, and our biggest recruiting area is the greater Atlanta area, since that is the population base of the state. On the third page, you'll see a chart where the trend line seems to be going down, but we wanted it to go down. That shows a decrease in the student-faculty ratio. One of the hallmarks of a public liberal arts college is small classes. The average class size is about 22 students in a class. They are highly interactive. The students must participate in the discussion and debates in the classroom, not only with their professor, but with their fellow students. So we've lowered our student-faculty ratio to the national standard for institutions of our type. And finally, while retaining very strong professional programs in business and in health sciences and in education, we've also grown our enrollment in the liberal arts and science disciplines, which is characteristic of an institution of our type. And that's the last chart that I gave you. Our fastest growing majors right now are chemistry and biology. And we're very proud of that because, as you may know, the need for scientists who are trained in the United States and highly skilled and qualified is really a national priority at this point in time. We're having trouble competing internationally in mathematics and the sciences. I want to tell you very briefly about 2 of our capital needs. One is our Herdy Hall expansion. It's just under $5 million. It is on the governor's recommended budget minor project list. It's been on the minor capital list for a number of years. It is the only science building on our campus. It was built in 1972 when the student population was 2,000. Our student population has more than doubled at this point in time. And as I just mentioned, our fastest growing majors are chemistry and biology. We have as many students now taking science courses in our core curriculum that as were enrolled in every year as were enrolled in when this building was first constructed. We desperately need more teaching lab space, and we need laboratory space for something that is critical to our mission and to our students, which is involving students, undergraduate students, as early as the freshman year, working with faculty on research projects. Every single year, our students, our faculty take our students, not to student professional organizations to deliver papers on chemistry and biology research progress, but to national professional organizations with their faculty to deliver these papers. It's wonderful training for them. This is a critical need for our campus, and I hope you will support it. I want to talk very briefly about another capital project that is very important to us. It's a major project. It's Parks Nursing and Health Science renovation. It's at a cost a little over $11 million. By the way, our minor project and our major project put together cost less money than the average project on the university system major capital project list. So they're good projects, and they're relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. This project was recommended by the governor last year. It was not supported by the House Senate Conference Budget Committee, but we still believe it's a very, very worthwhile project. As you know, one of the critical needs in Georgia is to address the nursing shortage, and we can't do that if we are able to educate more nurses and do it quickly. Our Parks Nursing building is at capacity. We have 50 students qualified to come into our nursing program that are on a waiting list that we cannot accept because this building is beyond capacity. We're doing some of the simulation labs that nursing education requires in our hallway in this building. In addition, one other thing I want to tell you about this building is that it also contains our student health services. Our student health services, as you can imagine, the demand on those services has mushroomed. Once we converted from a commuter campus where most people went home and got their health care through their family physicians to a campus where parents send their children to live on our campus, and we become their primary health care provider. And once again, we have a student health care facility that was built for a very different kind of campus and a very different student population. And I see that watch is being pointed at, so thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Representative Martin.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. The question I would have related to the Parks Hall addition. You mentioned you have 50 students waiting.
Yes, sir.
If the building were there today, do you have the clinical space or the clinical opportunities such that you can educate? My understanding is nursing, and I'm not questioning that you don't. I just want to be sure as we
absolutely we have
that we have the whole process, because if we can educate them in Parks Hall, if they don't have the clinical opportunities available out in the community, we're still not there yet. So
yes, we have ongoing contracts with several area hospitals. And one other thing I'd like to mention, we Nobody in the public sector beats us on the pass rate of our nurses coming out of our program on their licensure exams.
Okay.
So
The building is your gating factor. You're not gated by anything else right now?
no, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
It's on there, okay. So we're going to figure this out, but thank you very much, Dr. Leland. Next up is Dr. James Burren at Dalton State College. And remember, we're trying to stick with a 10-minute timeline to save us a little bit of time to ask questions. And if you do have a handout, decide to do it either before or after. Thank you. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, sir. My name is Jim Duran, and it's my privilege to serve as president of Dalton State College. You should have a one-sheet briefing paper in front of you that will form the basis for my comments today. Just to refresh your memory, if I might, Dalton State, we feel, is a little special because it serves as a point of access to the northwest Georgia part of our state, which, as you know, is rapidly growing. We're one of 4 state colleges in the university system, which means we do traditional 2-year associate degree programs as well as selected bachelor's degrees now, and we have 7 bachelor's degrees within our program arsenal at this point. Hope to add more as time goes by. Now, these programs are intended to meet the high priority workforce development needs of the region we serve. But in addition to that, we operate a full-blown technical program under joint arrangement with the State Department of Technical and Adult Education. So we have the breadth within the technical division, our associate degree programs, and our baccalaureate degree programs to meet a larger and larger number of needs as time goes by, and we feel very fortunate to have merited the kind of support that the General Assembly and the Governor and the Board of Regents have provided, certainly our larger community. In terms of some recent developments and accomplishments, we've merited record enrollments each year since 2001. Our latest new bachelor's degree is in early childhood education. It started this year. We have an ICAP health professions program underway with Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton, designed to accelerate the production of RNs from LPNs. We're going to be starting a new associate degree in respiratory therapy, fall of 2006. We're one of several institutions in the state that's going to be starting a Bill and Melinda Gates early college program with Dalton High School to accelerate graduation rates and college-going rates among at-risk students. And so we're trying to do everything we can to reach out to the communities we serve. As you know, Governor Perdue's recommended operating and capital outlay budgets include items that are of significant benefit to us, we believe. Full funding of the enrollment formula, of course. Targeted initiatives including health professions and teacher ed will help us do a better job down the road. Salary increases and employer portions of health insurance premiums, particularly with our lower paid folks, mean that we'll be able to move forward across the board with salary increases. Capital outlay includes, within the governor's recommendations, a special opportunity for us. It's a college facility to be located on the campus of the new Whitfield County Career Academy. It's a $4.65 million project, and if it's approved, we'll use it as a way of expanding what we do on our campus, establishing a special relationship with a charter school oriented toward workforce development. I might mention that Representative Tom Dixon, who's here with us today, was the chief architect of the Whitfield County Career Academy while he served as superintendent of Whitfield County Public Schools. We believe that this facility will enable us to do a number of special things, One, of course, is it'll create a physical and a programmatic relationship between secondary and post-secondary. Another is it'll increase the number of incentives for students to go on to post-secondary, and at the same time increase, we believe, high school graduation rates. And that, for us, will be the bottom line, increasing high school graduation rates and increasing post-secondary participation rates in a region of the state that is not high on either list. We believe will furnish us with an outstanding opportunity. So I thank you for the time you've given me to make this presentation. I'd like to use the rest of whatever time is available to entertain your questions.
Any questions from members? Representative Scheid. 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you just briefly, in less than a minute, please, so I don't take up more time, the Gates Early College Program?
Yes, sir.
Is that all from the foundation? Is that what the funds come from, or state donating, or are you raising
The Bill
money
and
for
Melinda
that?
Gates Foundation provides the majority of it. There are some other foundations involved in it as well. The University System of Georgia got a statewide grant that institutions were able to compete for, and we were fortunate enough to be one of those. The object of the early college program is to take at-risk youth, to put them through high school from the 9th grade and the first 2 years of college within 5 years.
And that foundation is available through a grant process?
Yes, sir.
Any college that makes application?
The grant in this particular case came to the university system. We then applied to the system for the grant.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I had a couple.
Yes, sir.
You are a four-year college, correct?
Yes, sir.
Four-year college.
Yes, sir.
And what was the amount of your major projects? What's the amount of your major project?
Our last
The requests?
major
The Dalton Academic Building? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
one of the requests you have?
The academic building on the major list is currently number 24 on the
it's
list,
down
so it's
the
going to be
list, yeah,
several
okay.
years
Okay.
before it pops up.
He just passed me a note, and I was wanting to question that.
Thank you for asking. Yes, sir.
Since you went to all the trouble of coming, I just wanted to have all of your requests.
I appreciate
knowing
that.
full well that
Okay.
they are.
Thank you very much, sir.
Any other questions? We appreciate you very much. And remember, this is our first year at having internet live. So if you know the exact moment that you're on here, you could go back to the web page and see yourself live on television.
That's good to know. Thank you, sir.
So be on your best behavior
Yes,
once
sir.
you leave and we are too. We need to be on our best behavior. But thank you very
appreciate
much
that.
for all you do, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I apologize for mispronouncing your name. It's
That's
Buran.
quite all right.
Buran.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks for your time.
Next is Dr. Barbara Losty from Waycross College. How long did it take you to drive up, Doc?
Only 4.5 hours this time.
Do you have a handout of anything? Okay.
I'm going to stand on my hind legs and just talk to you.
Thank
Like
you for
the
being here.
olden days. Representative Smith, members of the committee, I thank you for your time, and I also want to thank Representative Hatfield, who came today in support. Waycross College, where's that? We're located just north of the Okefenokee Swamp, about an hour west of the Golden Isles, and about an hour and a quarter northwest of Jacksonville. We are indeed Waycross, Georgia. And Representative Smith asks this question because I came here last year to hope that you would include our miners project in the budget, and you did. It's back this year, having not made it all the way through the process. A small project by state standards, $2.3 million. And I'm pleased to announce that the projects are not alphabetical this time, so we're not at the end. We're number 9 out of 13. I spoke to you last year. I'll simply remind you this project will allow us to expand our library. We discovered that computers take more square feet than students do. And so we have had to allocate more space to computer stations. And we need to add some classrooms, and let me tell you why. We are changing our concept from a specialty store Waycross College, complete an associate degree. 2, a mall concept. We have place-bound students, and as you know, these colleges were set up to assure that you could get to a college within 50 miles, but nobody guaranteed a baccalaureate. With our campus, you now can come to Waycross College and complete a bachelor's and master's degree in elementary education and special education. You also can complete a bachelor's in criminal justice from Albany State, in behavior science from Savannah State, and in business administration from Georgia Southwestern University. Given the price of gas, we're becoming a desirable alternative. We have for a long time offered the associate degree in nursing in cooperation with South Georgia College. They bring the nursing courses, we do the pre-nursing. To show you something about our students, I brought 4 imaginary students with me, and I'd like them now to step forward so that you can see what our students are interested in. The first student there represents teacher education, and 28% of our students are teacher ed majors, about 1 out of 4. Second student, go ahead, step forward a little so they can see you, is in nursing, 22% of our students, or allied health, an additional 5%. So 27% of our students are in nursing or allied health. The third student, come on, you're an important one. Step forward. 28% of our students are in 27 other possible majors. There are lots of varied interests. And that last student, the little one who's kind of shy there and hanging back, he's one of the 17% who are undeclared. They'll make up their minds later, but right now they're just going to try college and find out what they love. So 4 students really represent about 25% in teacher education, about 25% in allied health and nursing, about 25% in everything else, and 1 out of 4 who hasn't decided yet. Okay, students, you can go back to your studies now. Thank you so much for your time. We need more educated Georgians like those students you just met. And I might mention, by the way, that in the last 6 years in the All-USA competition by Phi Theta Kappa, in the last 6 years it's been a Waycross College student who's been selected every other time as the best 2-year student in Georgia. So those 4 you met have a lot of possibilities. We need more educated Georgians in South Georgia. Let me take Ware County as an example, the one where the college is located. There are about 35,000 people there, and in the 2000 census, their average income was $20,000. Their education? For those 25 and over, 30% have not finished high school. 7% have a bachelor's degree. The Georgia average for a bachelor's degree is 24%. What an opportunity for a 2-year college. The public schools are working to close that gap, and Waycross College is with them. 65% of the class of 2001 completed high school. The Georgia average was 71%. Notice that's a smaller gap than the gap of bachelors, so we're coming together. We run a prep program for grades 7 through 12 where we introduce students to the college prep curriculum, carry them forward through high school, and to graduation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support of Waycross College, and I will happily answer questions or go away if Representative Smith says so.
Any questions? We've been joined with Representative Bob Lane from Statesboro. Any questions from the Representative Royal?
Dr. Losty,
Sir.
do you have any major projects on the list that maybe the regents the regents didn't put on the priority list?
Thank you for asking. No, we do not, sir. We received funding for a student services building and a gymnasium that were completed in 2000. My business manager says, give us $5 million. We'll never ask you for anything else.
Is that a promise?
No, sir. But we do not have one this year, just the minor, and we'll be thrilled.
Representative Martin.
Thank you, Doctor. Be careful what you ask for. You may get it on that offer for $5 million and all in. Help me, and I should know this, and I apologize for not. How many students do you have on the campus?
We have about 750 this fall. Additionally, we're offering a program with Armstrong Atlantic up in the Liberty Center.
Yes, ma'am.
So that expands it a little.
And that brought me to this. This request, as I see it listed in the minors project, is for your addition to Building A, correct?
Correct.
I'm looking for that one. And it's $2.3 million. Is that, if I can kind of put my arms around it, is that ready to go? If you were to have the funding for it, when would that be available to students? I mean, I understand there's construction, but is it?
Yeah, it's not designed.
Okay,
so we will design and build it. Yeah, we need to get going.
So if we
Thank
get
you.
going on, we've got at least an 18-month or 2-year time frame if you were to
Yes, sir.
get some
Although
funding for it right away.
we're pretty quick down there.
I understand. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, it's not something where we've got
got
people ready.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wanted to thank Representative Hatfield for being with us. With Dr. Losty, he does a good job down in Waycross. And any other questions from the committee? No? So we move on to the next one, Dr. Gail Thackson from Okefenokee Technical College. Thank you, Rep, for being here. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Smith, members of the committee. I do welcome the opportunity to be with you here today and want to thank you for this time before you, and also to thank Representative Hatfield for being here and for the support and making me aware of this session today. I would be what you would call a freshman president. I'm relatively new to this. I joined Okefenokee Technical College July 1, and I am just excited to be able to represent the college in talking about our capital projects in the FY07 budget, and to let you know that we're honored to be on that list. We are number 1 on the major projects list, and we also have a minor project. I'll talk about both of those in just a minute, and we are encouraged with the confidence that you've shown us, and we believe that we really are a great value for the state of Georgia, and I want to talk about those projects. But before I do, I want to let you know, too, that the support that you've given the agency as a whole, and particularly Okefenokee Technical College through the FY06 budget, is greatly appreciated. You have made a huge impact to our college. With the new formula dollars, we've been able to add about $400,000 to our budget. I'll say that we have leveraged that money wisely. We've been able to add full-time faculty to our budget. We've been able to get resources for teaching, resources for learning. It's made a tremendous difference in the morale of our faculty because they had really been squeezed very tightly. And when they feel squeezed, they know their students are not getting what they feel like they need for a quality education, and it's made a tremendous difference. And there's one other thing I'd like to say thank you for as well, and that's the $95,000 that was awarded to Okefenokee Tech for HVAC maintenance and repair. We have 2 buildings on our campus that are over 40 years old. And with that money, we were able to complete 100% of the projects, 13 replacements for HVAC systems on those 2 buildings. And I will tell you that there is no way that we could have done that without those dollars. So it really made a tremendous difference, and we greatly appreciate it. And we know that you will continue to help us to find money to keep our older buildings well maintained and repaired. I'd like to share with you a little bit about our projects now that are up. And on the right side of your packet, I believe each of you would have a green folder. On the right side will be 2 handouts about our number 1 project on the majors list, our Allied Health Building and our Media Center. And I would say to you there's one word when I would think about presenting about this project, and that would be adequacy. Because right now what we're looking at in terms of facilities for our Allied Health programs, and we have 14, and our Library Media Center on our campus is that the facilities are woefully inadequate to do the job, to train students and to educate our students in a college environment, just inadequate for today's workforce environment. And I would say, too, that allied health is a real cornerstone of our program. It really is central to the focus and the work of Okefenokee Technical College. And we have students that are greatly affected by this. And I would like to say that I couldn't bring the students with me, but I did bring a chair to represent some students for you. And this chair would represent the 673 students that we had enrolled in one or more of our 14 allied health programs last quarter, just last quarter. I couldn't bring our graduates with us either, but this chair would represent the graduates out of allied health programs, and we graduated last academic year 252 students out of our allied health programs. And of those students, we actually placed, as this chair represents, 249, or either a portion of those students declared that they were going to continue their education and pursue further education in an allied health field. So we do have a large number of students affected by this capital request. We know that we're making a difference in the community. Our hospitals, our nursing homes tell us that they need us there and they need well-trained students. And on a personal note, I will say that in my own family, the health care of my family, and particularly my mother, the last months of her life depended on being cared for by a practical nurse. So I have a passion for making sure that we graduate students that are the best trained and the best prepared of any students anywhere. You have some pictures in your handout, and I think when you look at those, the Allied Health building, and there's one photograph of the media center I'll talk to in just a moment, you're going to see that the facilities are very cramped. When I say cramped, I don't mean just that students are having to squeeze their bodies into a space. I'm saying that in one particular lab, we share that lab with paramedic programs, with respiratory therapy programs, and also with medical assisting. So we have medical assisting equipment under paramedic equipment supported by respiratory therapy gas tanks. And so you can imagine what it must be like in trying to educate students in that environment. You're taking down, you're stacking, you're packing, you're putting in a closet, you're moving the bed, you're moving the gas tank, you're hooking up the gas line. All of those things have to happen and go on when you're trying to share those labs. When you look at our nursing, our practical nursing program, you're going to see one lab that's shared by 5 student cohort groups of students. So you can imagine what it must be like. And these are the people who are going to take care of you and me and our family members. When you go to our surgical technology lab, you have one lab that's shared by other students in a radiologic technology program. So you can do a surgical procedure and walk 5 steps to the left and do something with, take an x-ray. So we know that we need the space. It's a critical, desperate need. And this building and the space where we're training our nurses and our surgical technicians is 25 years old or older. So the need is there and the need is great, and we so appreciate the ability to present this to you and ask for your support with that. When you look at the one photograph there of the Library Media Center, you're going to see a very small classroom. There's actually one other classroom we couldn't get in the photograph that had been renovated to serve a Library Media Center. And I would just say to you that it's just not what it needs to be for a college. We are a 2-year post-secondary institution offering associate degrees. Students come to us expecting collegiate-level services, collegiate-level support, collegiate-level work, and facilities that they can be proud of. And I would just say to you that we need this Library Media Center so that we can stand ourselves up and really have a professional image as a college. On the left side of the packet, you're going to see 2 handouts also about the Alma building, the Alma Project, and there are 2 words I would say to you would describe this project, and one would be accessibility, and the other would be adequacy. You're going to look at these photographs in the second handout, and I think you are going to agree that there are some real needs there. But this project has a special component because in November of 2005, the city of Alma and the county of Bacon came together and passed a referendum passed a SPLOST with a 2-to-1 yes vote in favor of purchasing the Satilla REMC building from Satilla and deeding it to the state under the custody of Okefenokee Technical College. And as the local politicians tell me, there was a lot of support for the college in that SPLOST. They really made it happen because they believe in post-secondary education as being a catalyst for workforce development in that community. So it is special. But the funds that we're requesting to renovate this project, $2,115,000, will actually go a long way because it's going to provide access to post-secondary technical education in the northeast section of our service delivery area. And it's going to become not only providing that access, but it's going to be a boost for the quality. And by being more accessible, it's going to be more affordable because we, just like anybody else, have been hit by higher gas prices, and we need to have educational services and programs that are convenient to students. And I'll tell you, too, that I believe it's going to position the college for growth because we know that we can't expand unless we put a second story on the current facility that we're in. And when you look at those pictures, you're going to see what that construction lab looks like. We have to move. There is no space to do a residential construction project, and the students tell me that they have to help each other with their projects because one student has to clear his project out of the way before another one can come in and do his project. So we're looking at electrical construction, we're looking at construction and masonry, we're looking at property maintenance, facilities and programs that actually need space, and that's what this new facility is going to do for us. And it's just not adequate. And if we can make it more adequate, we know that it's going to be a draw and it's going to be more affordable and more accessible. In closing, I'd just like to say, too, that in thinking about these two capital projects, and we're so honored, again, to be on the list, it's not just about getting new buildings for Okefenokee Tech. It's really about making post-secondary education more accessible, more affordable, and of higher quality in southeast Georgia. So if we do this, we know that we're going to be able to attract our students because they're going to come to a facility and look at how they will receive their training and be excited and inspired. And I don't believe we can say that would be true right now. I think that it's going to help us to attract faculty because they're going to look at the new facilities and they're going to want to join us because we are one of the best values and best programs in town. And I think that it's going to attract employers because they are going to look at our new facility and have confidence in our programs, confidence in our graduates, feel good about partnering with us with post-secondary education. They know that we're a great value and these facilities are going to go a long way in supporting education in southeast Georgia. Any questions?
Dr. Thackson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Relating to the Satilla REMC building.
Yes.
What is the local input? What is the local dollars that are going to be added to what the state is, or you're requesting from the state?
Right. The county and city purchased the building from Satilla for $1.2 million.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
They purchased the facility from Satilla for $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions from the committee? Representative Schott.
Dr. Thackson, you said that you're experiencing exceptional growth on item number 2, 224%, I think it was.
Right, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. What amount of growth per year are you looking for, and what size do you believe the university could get to?
In our strategic plan, we've looked at a number of 2,200 in looking at the growth that we believe that would be a good right size for the college.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Next is this microphone working?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
Dr. James Sanders with the Skidaway Institute, and glad to see you again, Doc.
Good afternoon, Chairman Smith, members of the committee. Thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to be here in front of you this afternoon. I also want to thank you for all the support and consideration and all the hard work that you all have done for higher education within the state of Georgia over the past many years. We really appreciate that, not only at the Institute, but also across the entire system. And I think we as Georgians can be proud of the system that we have because of it. I'd like to talk to you just for a few minutes today about a request that we have in for a minor capital outlay for a Biosciences and Coastal Studies Research Center. Just to give you I'll give you a little bit of background, but just to let you know, this building was rated #1 by the Board of Regents as a new construction part of the miners list, and has been very happily included in Governor Perdue's budget request to you all. And I've given you just a brief handout to give you some of the specifics for the building. Now, many of you have been on campus, thanks to Chairman Smith and also past Chairman McBee. There have been fact-finding missions down as part of coastal trips onto the Skidaway campus, so you know a little bit about us. But just to refresh your memories, I just want to remind you that we're pretty unique within the university system in that we're an independent institution, a unit, a campus of the university system, but we're non-degree granting. And with Gwinnett Center's movement from a non-degree granting cooperative center to a new college over the next year or two, that will leave Skidaway Institute as the only non-degree granting campus. Our mission is to conduct cutting-edge research in marine and environmental sciences, serve as a resource and a problem-solving mechanism for state and even southeastern issues that we have within the coastal zone, to help educate Georgia's students. And in that regard, we are not interested necessarily in repeating what can be done most excellently on our campuses in traditional classroom settings, but rather what we want to do is offer Georgia's students an opportunity to immerse themselves in a research-based setting, in a field setting where the students can really become one with the science that they're involved. And I would also like to echo what President Leland said to you just a few minutes ago. Our nation has been known for the past several generations as a leader in technology, as a leader in science, and we're beginning to lose that leadership. And so I think that it's critical and incumbent on the state of Georgia to continue to put resources into the education of our citizens within the science fields. And in that way, also, Georgia's a leader because there aren't very many states that have an institution like Skidaway Institute of Oceanography that can help move that forward. We have lots of unique facilities on our campus that are used by people throughout the system and throughout the state. Lots of different kinds of experimental systems that people can come to use and do. Both faculty and students within the university system as well as private entities around the region. One especially that we have is our state-of-the-art 92-foot coastal research vessel, the RV Savannah. Was built in 2001. It is an investment that the state of Georgia made in ocean sciences, and it's an investment that is paid back very, very well. Last year, for example, that ship was out to sea over 200 days. It's going to have a similar schedule this year. So those are many, many opportunities for scientists to gain a better understanding of the coastal ocean and the role that coastal ocean plays in our entire lives, really. It's not just a research platform. Indeed, it was designed to be a floating classroom and can take as many as 20 students to see at a time. And indeed, many of our institutions do take advantage of that, either by providing their own funds or by funds that I've gotten through the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We've taken classes to sea from Armstrong Atlantic, Savannah State, Kennesaw, Georgia College, University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and others that I'm sure I'm not thinking of right now. So it's a tremendous resource for this state, and one that we are very pleased with, and one that will continue to serve us well in the future. Skidaway Institute of Oceanography has both a desire and we think provides a point for collaboration within marine and environmental sciences. And as I said, the campus is a location for many small groups from throughout the university system. The University of Georgia has a Marine Education Center on our campus. Georgia Southern has its Applied Coastal Laboratory. Savannah State has a laboratory on campus. The Georgia Aquarium uses the Skidaway campus for bringing fish in from the oceans to bring into their wonderful new aquarium up here. DNR has locations on campus as well. We want to continue to see that kind of collaboration and cooperation build, and we think that we can be helpful to the state in that regard. We try to use our state resources very effectively. For every dollar that we have in our state budget, we're able to leverage those funds, and our faculty bring in anywhere from $3 to $4 in outside funds to help fund the research and the education programs that are underway on the campus. And I think we've been effective over the last several years. Since I came in late 2001, since 2002, we've been able to increase our activities and our research and education budgets by over 30%. And in the difficult times that we had in the early 21st century, we're very proud of that level of activity. The faculty and students on campus and the ones that are coming in to collaborate are pursuing exciting new areas. Just to mention two, we're very interested in the whole concept of coastal environmental health. Just as we look at the health of our own human population, we need to also keep a good handle on the health of our coastal zone and how we can continue to ensure that health while at the same time promoting economic progress and growth. Another area that we're actually a leader in the Southeast is in the area of ocean observations and prediction. We have scientists that are coming in from really around the country to work with our scientists on new ways of gaining information from the oceans on a real-time basis rather than just having to go out on a ship or take a sample and just get that one little snapshot. There are lots of new potential collaborations, but right now we are limited by infrastructure and by space, and that's the reason that we have put this request in front of the Board of Regents, and they've passed it on to you. We believe that this new building will give us the space for expansion for these new programs as well as many other successful programs that we've had in the past. For visiting scientists to come, not only from the university system but around the world. We literally have people at any time on our campus from many, many countries as well as other states. Georgia DNR has located their underwater archaeology program on our campus. Right now we're giving them about a 7-by-7 foot square cubicle for an office. They need more space than that. We'd be able to do that with this building. And also you probably remember that the university system has gone into partnership with the Department of Economic Development and Savannah Economic Development Authority to put together a private-public collaboration research park on Skidaway Island. We want space so that private entities can come in and work in collaboration with the science that's going on our campus. So I think our future's bright. I've been excited. I've been proud to be part of it for the last 4 years. I'm excited about what I think we can accomplish over the next several years. This building will help keep us on that trajectory. So again, thank you for your support. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Dr. Sanders, is this microphone working?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. I visited with you 2 or 3 months ago. I forgot when it was, but must tell you the RV Savannah is quite a facility on the water. And at that time you mentioned that there were a number of private entities that collaborate with you in doing this research data. Could you give us a specific example of that, some private company that...
Private companies that are
Yes,
working
sir.
with us?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are have to do with the ocean observations work that we're doing, because you will remember that we have a number of towers, Navy towers off the coast of Georgia that we have instruments on. The new and evolving technologies, we run the Southeast Center for something called the Alliance for Coastal Technologies, which is a consortium of companies and institutions around the country that are interested in developing new sensors to put out in the ocean so that we can measure different things. I had a gentleman in my office yesterday from a group called Advanced Ocean Warning Systems, who's built what he thinks is a more refined sensor for tsunamis that he wants to deploy with us and start doing some tests. Some of the large companies are getting very much into this field. Raytheon, Boeing, General Dynamics. They'll right now, most of the ocean observations is an academic enterprise, but it'll be the big multinational firms like that ultimately take that over. So they're working with us as well.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Representative Martin.
Thanks, Chairman Smith. Just a question, I guess, and this may come up more. You mentioned that or is mentioned in the request that UGA, Georgia Southern, perhaps Georgia Tech, I guess, have folks that go out on the vessel and receive. These are part of their degree program,
yes.
Are they not? While you're not a degree granting institution, you provide a service for them.
Oh, well, and we hopefully it's more than a service. We look at it as a collaboration. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just in the interest of time. I don't mean to cut you off, but do you receive any funding from them when they send their students down?
It depends on the program. We have many graduate students and undergraduate students in residence on our campus. And most of those students are either working with one of my faculty in collaboration with one of the degree granting departments in usually the research universities, but it could be really anywhere. And in that case, usually my faculty are paying all the costs for those students. In other instances, when other institutions, for example, come down, use our research vessel, they may well have a federal grant that's paying for the cost of that research vessel, and so we recover funds in that way. But I've also gone to the federal government to get a number of days each year so that I was particularly focusing on the landlocked colleges like Georgia College, Kennesaw State, where the students don't have many opportunities to get to see. So we're also providing support that way for those campuses.
Okay. We won't belabor the point here because you're talking about a capital project, but it would seem that these programs will get funded in the formula funding going to the University of Georgia or Georgia Tech or some other college, and they're sending the student down to get the instruction from you, but they're not sending any money. In government, we would maybe I misunderstood.
I don't want to leave you quite with that
Okay.
that kind of an idea. For example, we have a very strong collaboration with Savannah State at the undergraduate level called SIRE, Collaborations in Research and Education, and both institutions have federal funds to fund that program, and so. Without the Savannah State students that come to work in our laboratories, we wouldn't be able to do that program. Neither institution would have that funding.
Wow.
So they're usually partnerships.
Okay, we can drill down to that later. I just want to make sure that they weren't sort of sending you what we in government call an unfunded mandate down there. Here's my students, educate them, and not sending any help. We can talk about.
We're
that.
guilty of some of that because again, we want to try to help. We want to get more into the classroom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders.
Thank you, Chairman Smith.
Appreciate you coming. Enjoyed a visit down there. Great facility. Thank you. Next up is the president of the 35th university in the university system, and I think this is the first university that has been created since 1885. So we welcome Dr. Daniel Kaufman, the newest president of the newest university in the university system. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a real joy for me to be here and to represent Georgia Gwinnett College in its inaugural appearance before any committee in that sense. Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for the opportunity to spend a few minutes talking with you about Georgia Gwinnett College. We're passing out for your information a fact sheet on GGC that will provide you with some of the information that I'll be talking about this afternoon, as well as a brief history of our very young institution. First, Mr. Chairman, let me say how proud and honored I am to have been selected as the charter president of this new institution. Having had the privilege of serving as the chief academic officer at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point for many years, I thought my career as an academician might have ended there. But when I received notice of this extraordinary opportunity to build a new college from the ground up, and one with such an outstanding and innovative mission as GGC, I couldn't resist the urge to apply. So it's indeed a pleasure to come home to Georgia, since both my wife and I are from Brunswick, and our parents still live down there. We reluctantly left the frozen reaches of the Hudson Valley and returned to the balmy winters of Georgia and to our many friends here in the area. As you know, Mr. Chairman, GGC was created in 2005 by a resolution passed by the Board of Regents and the legislature. We are the first new four-year state college founded in Georgia in nearly 130 years. And I'm pleased to say that the mission of GGC is decidedly 21st century. The Regent's intention is that we will be a model for innovative instructional methodology and administrative structure for all of our fellow colleges and universities to follow. In the mission statement for the college, we're charged with providing a seamless education from the classroom to the library to the home to the office through the imaginative use of educational technology. Students will be able to carry their lessons, their lab work, and their classroom research with them wherever they are in the world. Yet, the foundation of their academic career will still be inside the classroom, face-to-face with the professor. For your information, I provided you with an article I wrote for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in October last year, discussing in more detail what we have in mind at the college. We may well have the most unique mission of any publicly funded college in the nation. and I'm truly excited about the future. The good news is we're off and running. The Board of Regents has approved 7 degree programs for GGC. We're building a staff of seasoned administrators. Very soon, with the assistance of community leaders in Gwinnett County, we'll be hiring a Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs and a Vice President for Information Technology and Student Services. Later this spring, we'll begin hiring faculty. Our timetable for opening our doors is ambitious. In just a few months, we will begin enrolling 300 to 500 juniors, upper-class students, who will arrive this fall in August. In March of next year, just 14 months from now, we will begin to enroll upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 freshmen who will show up on our doors expecting a full 4-year college experience. Members of the committee, I faced many challenges in my military, educational, and administrative duties over the past 37 years, but getting ready for 3,000 kids to show up on my door in August of '07 may well be the most daunting of them all. Obviously, we have many needs for this fledgling college to begin its work if we are to be successful. In order to continue our progress, we will need some immediate funding to hire staff and faculty in order to be ready for classes this fall. Let me say that the Board of Regents has been exemplary in their support for our college this far. In addition to shifting internal funds for our use, the interim chancellor and senior staff have devoted countless hours to assisting us in various organizational and administrative and academic matters. The governor has generously placed $1 million in funds in his budget for program money to allow us to hire the faculty that we need in place this August. The $1 million allows us to move quickly in getting the college up and running. Specifically, the funds will pay for hiring faculty for the fall semester. These funds are critical if we are to succeed in our mission of welcoming students in the fall. And I would ask that the members of the committee work to see that these funds stay in the House budget. The legislature has much to be proud of in forming this new college and in meeting the rising needs of college students in the Northeast Georgia region, particularly in Gwinnett County. I can assure you that I will do everything in my power as president of GGC to ensure that we succeed in every sense of the word. This will be a truly remarkable institution in just a few years, one of which all Georgians can be justifiably proud. It's been a privilege to be here with you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to working with all of you in the years ahead.
Questions? They left. Questions to the committee. Representative Royal. Gotcha.
Dr. Collins. Is this priority, major priority, number 21, it says Gwinnett University Center, is that your?
That's us. Yes, sir.
Do you have a minor project anywhere that was not recommended by the region?
We have a minor project that we just completed, and then we have another minor project that was approved last year for which we will issue the bonds next month. So we're completing a minor and beginning the next minor. So we have there are no capital construction funds in the budget this year for Georgia Gwinnett.
On the major project, when do you anticipate a need for this building?
Well, I anticipate standing here 1 year from today in the FY08 budget. We're refining our needs now. We need, frankly, in my assessment, we probably need a library and a general purpose academic building. And I'm working with the Board of Regents to establish those priorities and that need and then work our way into the priority list.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions, sir? Thank you for being here.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations to you, and we look forward to your hard work, sir.
I appreciate it, sir. Thanks. Thanks for all your support.
Thank you. Next is Dr. Mike Moy from Lanier Technical College. Welcome, sir. And once again, I have a list of those that will be speaking this afternoon, and I must tell you, tomorrow we're going to go to the Georgia Public Broadcasting Facilities Studio 3, where we'll have a live subcommittee meeting there to discuss Georgia Public Broadcasting budget, the public libraries, and Georgia Research Alliance. And I welcome all of you to come to watch this and witness this. We'll try to do more and more of these. And I also want to welcome Chairman Earhart to the committee as well. And as I mentioned to you earlier, they're going to be coming and going as we go through this process, both today and Thursday, and hopefully not tomorrow. So, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to do a little tag team, if you don't mind. I have with me Russell Vandiver, who is Vice President for Economic Development and also Executive Director of the Governor's Center of Innovation and Manufacturing Excellence. And we want to talk about that project first, and then we have a second slot to talk about a building project in Forsyth County. Let me first, as we talk about the manufacturing center, let me issue an invitation to you and everyone in the room, for that matter, to our grand opening of this center, and it'll be Friday week, February 3rd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Governor Perdue will be on hand, as well as our boss, Commissioner Vollmer, Commissioner Lesser, and Commissioner Beatty, as we open up this building and provide something that is truly needed in Georgia, and that is a new face for manufacturing, something that will put us where we need to be in terms of competition with the world. And so the very first one we'll talk about is the handout that you have that is the Center of Innovation, and Russell Vandiver will lead that discussion.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. About 35 years ago, Lanier Technical College was established, and we've been in the workforce development business during that entire time. Over those years, we've had a lot of manufacturers that located in our area, and through the Georgia Quick Start program and our partnership with them, we've been able to train some 35,000 people for new jobs. Manufacturing is taking on a new face, a changing face now. New technology is there every day. You're having to see companies that are having to go to robotics and different types of systems just to stay competitive with our foreign competition. The idea and the thought behind the center is simply to put in place a vehicle to do that training in the state of Georgia. Now, if an industry wanted to train in robotics, they may have to send folks to Michigan or possibly even overseas to learn or be trained on the equipment. So what we've done with this center is we've put the state-of-the-art equipment. And the good news for you folks is that we're not here trying to get more money. Y'all helped fund this thing last year. We started in July of 06, putting it together, or 05 rather. We'll open February 3rd. And this is a statewide initiative. This is something that if you're down in Waycross and you need some help with manufacturing excellence, with innovation in manufacturing, we're going to provide help to you to do that, as well as all over the other parts of Georgia. The most important thing for you is that in 2 years, our plan and our business plan for this is for it to be self-sustaining, so that you will not hear us coming back saying, well, we need additional funding so we can keep this going. And the way we're going to do that is the industries, the businesses, the manufacturers that need this training are going to pay a fee for the training. They're paying a fee for the training now. We're just bringing it closer to home so that they'll actually save money. And we'll have a vehicle that when we're trying to do economic development in the state, if a company wants to locate here, we'll not only can tell them we can train their workforce, we can show them how their workforce is being trained currently. The initial need, though, is the retraining efforts. Economic development today in the state of Georgia is how many jobs can you keep that you already have, not necessarily how many jobs can you go out and get. And we work very hard at doing that. So retraining existing employees is a critical part of this center. The second phase of the center is going to come in July of 06, and that's going to be something we call a business incubator for manufacturing. We're going to put together a facility as part of this center that will be able to service companies that are trying to bring a product to the market, that are trying to develop their own business. We see that as a way of growing jobs. So probably about 85–90% of the new jobs created in the state of Georgia are created by existing companies. So it just makes sense for us to try to set up a center that will be available to those individuals that want to bring a product to the market and provide the resources that we have at the college to do that. So again, I thank you for your support, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I've got one. How are you going to dovetail with what you do with Quick Start?
Very simple. We will still continue to do the Quick Start programs for the new or expanding companies that are adding new jobs to the state of Georgia. And that's the way we've had that program since the mid-'60s. The center itself will dovetail on the back end of that. Once these new companies are beyond the eligibility for Quick Start, then we would provide service for them as they need to go to a newer technology, say in 2 years or 3 years. So I personally believe every 3 to 5 years we're going to be changing technology, at least every 3 to 5, maybe less than that. So the ongoing need for this training is going to continue. Our challenge, I believe, is how can we keep up with the equipment? We've got manufacturers out here that are in business to make a profit that are having to do that, and they struggle with it. So we've got a real challenge ahead of us, but we think we've got a business plan that will allow us to do that.
Questions? Questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
We truly would like to see you on our campus at some point in the future. If you can't make it Friday on the 3rd, if you could possibly come at a later time, we'd be glad to show you around. Second presentation we have will utilize this handout. It concerns the Forsyth County campus expansion for Lanier Technical College. This campus currently has 2 buildings, a total of about 57,000 square feet. This new project is totally dedicated to healthcare technology, and it does have a portion of the building that will be used for economic development purposes. On page, I believe it is page 8 of the handout, you can see a listing of the programs that we will have on the campus. They are all health, echocardiogram, medical assisting, medical diagnostic sonography, neuromuscular therapy, paramedic technology, physical therapy, practical nursing, radiation therapy, and vascular technology. We have carefully chosen programs that are not duplicated at other locations that we operate, with the exception of practical nursing, medical assisting, and paramedic technology. Those are very, very high demand programs, and it's quite difficult to keep up with the demand in the area. We base our request on actually 4 factors. If you will look at the second from the last page, we've summarized the factors that we'll talk about. Basically, they are extreme population growth in the Forsyth County and Northeast Georgia area, all of the areas actually that Lanier Technical College serves, tremendous enrollment growth at the college. Third factor would be the need in the healthcare industry, and the fourth would be an investment in the local community. So let me just quickly go through those items, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Concerning enrollment growth, what I have provided you is actually some data that we shared with our state board when we presented this project to them back during the summer. They had before them the enrollment figures for well, actually every technical college in the state, but for Lanier Technical College, they saw that during the years from 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, looking only at fall quarter, which is typically the largest credit enrollment quarter that we have, our enrollment increase was a very large 54.6%, which was probably 20 points ahead of the next college in terms of increase in enrollment. Counting students at a technical college is one of those things that it's not difficult to do, but we actually touch a lot more people than you might think. If you called our registrar today, she would tell you that, and if you ask her, how many students do you have? She'd say around 3,200 students. But she's only thinking credit students. We actually count our students on a fiscal year basis. So last year at Lanier Tech, our real number of credit students, unduplicated, was around 5,500 students. Almost 7,000 adult literacy students, and almost 15,000 students in our economic development programs. Granted, those students might have flown into Georgia for a week or 2 weeks of specialized training in ammonia refrigeration, but they are students at Lanier Tech. So if you add it all together, 26,000 students, 26,000 lives were touched by our technical college last year. We are expanding greatly wherever we can. We believe very strongly, if you look at item number 3 here, we believe very strongly in community support. We have 5 locations. Let me just tell you very briefly about our business plan in terms of how it operates in expanding our campus. We believe that communities should have an investment. We have a new campus in Dawsonville, Georgia, Dawson County. At that location, the local Board of Education is furnishing a building rent-free, no utility cost. They spent $350,000 in renovating it to provide us a place to offer technical programs. Down in Jackson County, one of the hottest industrial growth areas in the state, county commissioners bought a building, renovated it, and now are furnishing a 30,000 square foot building for us to offer technical classes to the new industries in that area. The city of Winder renovated a building out of their own city coffers. The county of Barrow passed a SPLOST of $1 million to renovate the upper floor and to furnish it. And so now we have an excellent campus in downtown Winder with a second SPLOST passed this past summer, or actually past spring, to renovate a second building for us to use, for the technical college to use for classes in Winder. And so that brings us to Forsyth County. If you look at item number 3, Forsyth County, the people of Forsyth County have invested over $3.1 million in this campus. $1 million of it was cash money. This included assistance in the purchase of land, assistance in infrastructure improvements, as well as a brand new 4-lane highway that is going directly to our campus. Item number 4, heightened public awareness and stakeholder expectations. We have on file at our state office letters from CEOs and presidents of several healthcare organizations in the Forsyth County and North Fulton area. I think there are 7 different hospitals, including North Fulton, Northside Hospital, Emory Healthcare, and others. The need for healthcare workers in the North Atlanta, South Forsyth area is tremendous, and they are telling us they need our help, and that's what this building is all about. I probably don't need to tell you anything at all about the population explosion in the northern part of Atlanta. Our service area includes the 400 corridor, Georgia 400, I-85, I-985, and 316, all of which are growth areas in the state of Georgia. Our needs are fairly simple. This is a healthcare building with an economic development aspect attached to it. The funds that have been recommended by the governor are $11.1 million. And I think that pretty much concludes what I wanted to share with you, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Any questions? Representative Royal.
Dr. Moore, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Dr.
How are
Moore
you?
used to be president of Moultrie Technical College down in my district. I'm having a little difficulty, and it's not just you, but other technical college areas. It'd be good if you gave us where your home campus is and the number and the counties that your service area. You know, all of us aren't familiar with Lanier Technical College, and if all of the technical colleges give us that information, it would be helpful to me.
Yes, sir. Be happy to. Our campuses, actually, if you picture Lake Lanier, we have 4 counties on the west side of Lake Lanier and 4 on the east side. On the west side, starting at the northernmost area, Lumpkin County, Dahlonega, going down it would be Dawson County, Dawsonville, and then below that Forsyth County, which is coming, and then North Fulton. And for us, that means everything from the Chattahoochee River north in Fulton County. And then over on the east side of Lake Lanier, Banks County, which is Homer, a relatively rural area, Jackson County, which is Commerce and Jefferson and other municipalities in that county, Hall County, which is where our main campus is, the home campus, and what did I leave out? I mentioned Jackson, Hall, Banks, and Winder. And so the campuses are in 5 locations. That would be the Hall County, Forsyth County, Jackson County, Barrow County, and Dawson County.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I've got one. It's a broad question, not specifically to you, but in general. Adult literacy.
Yes, sir.
I heard you mention, and I hear others mention. Tell me how successful that is for those that go through your program.
We believe that it's an extremely vital part of our operation. It is fertile. If you look at it from a marketing standpoint, which I do, it is a fertile ground for us to go out and recruit students who are truly motivated because they dropped out at some point along the line, and they know they need to do better to go on with their lives, and so they've enrolled in a GED program and would soon receive one. And so that's a fertile ground for us to market our technical programs to encourage them to enroll into a credit program and to go on and get an associate degree and join the workforce at a higher level than where they are. So I think it's very successful, very vital to what we are doing.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Glad
sir.
to hear.
Thank you.
Next is Major General Peter Boylan from Georgia Military College. And I also wanted to welcome Chairman Ben Harbin to our discussion this afternoon. And by the way, we've all of these proceedings are live on the internet, the first ever in the Georgia legislature. I can't recall the name of the website that you could look at it, but it's good to have you, General.
Well, since I'm an old infantryman, I'll try to watch my language then. The packet that you're getting right now has a centerfold in it. I'd ask you to just take out the centerfold and move it, and move the centerfold to the side. We can look at it later. You know, we are at war. There's no bombs bursting in air here, but we do have 40 of our state service scholarship cadets that are still deployed to Iraq. They were deployed October 2004, pulled out of school midterm. That left about a $500,000 revenue hole in the budget. Last year, you all were good enough to provide $471,000 to cover that hole. The problem was, of course, that you plan for a certain number of cadets. You put together all of the infrastructure to support that, and when they're pulled out in the middle of the term for better than a year and a half, you can't recover from that. Of the 40 cadets, and this would be chart number 2 on the right-hand side, of the 40 cadets that were initially deployed, 11 of them would have completed their education last fiscal year. The remaining 29 would have completed their education this fiscal year. So there's a budget hole of that remaining 29 of $383,000 that I'm asking you to cover. This would be the last time this occurs because, of course, these cadets, all of them, redeploy in May 2006 to the United States. On a side note, Georgia Military College, in providing not only those 40, has provided a number of other graduates, 2 of whom have been killed in action. Interestingly enough, the first person in the 48th Brigade who was wounded in action, and that was received the first Purple Heart awarded the 48th Brigade since World War II, was a female cadet from Georgia Military College. I'd now ask you to look at your centerfold. Last year we were given $95,000 to put together a preliminary study for a new prep school. That has been completed. The purpose of that new school is to replace a building that was built in 1926 which interestingly enough was the date of Cheatham Hodges' birth. And it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, educational buildings still in service in Georgia. The cost data is listed at the bottom of that piece of paper. We would at least like to get started on the design, and I ask you to consider that. Because of the vagaries introduced into the construction system by Hurricane Katrina, it's very difficult at this point to assess exactly what the impact would be on construction cost. And therefore, personally, I think it's prudent to go through a design process first before trying to assess exact costs on construction. I'll answer your questions.
Any members of the committee? I have a question. Tell us what a prep school is, military prep school.
Grades 6 through 12, all uniform, junior ROTC. About 500 students. A lot of my background, and I was interested in listening to General Kaufman from GCC, or GGC. We were there at the same time. In fact, I was there. I'm on the Board of Trustees at West Point, and so I've interfaced with him a fair amount. But we're both in that duty on our country business, and that's what we focus on at the school. You walk around the campus, as Chairman Harbin knows, and there are duty on our country all over, and that's what you focus on. I mean, we've all known people, and I don't mean to get on a step stool here, but we've all known people who are just bright as the Dickens throughout their lifetime, but somehow failed to be able to implement their ideas. That's what you got in here, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen enough of the other side of life in combat to know that that's pretty important stuff.
Any members? General, thank you. And
one.
Have a question?
Just, can you give us an update on the status of his illness?
I just got a letter from him yesterday, and someone had typed it up for him, and he had put my name, signed my name at the top, and written his name at the bottom, and it was indecipherable. I spoke with him last Friday, and he was very weak. So I've got to get down there and see him, bottom line.
General, we're glad you're here, and if you would send a message from this committee that all the soldiers that are serving in harm's way, thank you for what they do, and tell them to thank them for what they do.
Right on. Thank you, sir.
Next is Dr. David Potter, North Georgia College and State University. And I think we're right on schedule now. Afternoon, General. Not General, Dr. Potter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to appear before you today. North Georgia College and State University has a distinctive role and mission within the university system in Georgia. And we're especially proud of our designations as the Military College of Georgia and as a leadership institution. Our military mission is reinforced by federal legislation that identifies us as one of 6 senior military colleges in the country. And I'm pleased to have with me today our Commandant of Cadets, Colonel Tom Palmer, in the back. Our leadership programs derive from our success in producing military leaders, and we are committed to offer leadership opportunities to all of our students. Also significant for our mission is our strength in the core disciplines of the arts and sciences. These disciplines ensure that our graduates have the fundamental skills and knowledge for long-term success in whatever careers and personal lives they choose. We now serve more than 4,700 students. This is a dramatic 50% increase from our enrollment a decade ago. We're on a sustained growth path with a continued expansion of demand for our services. Your generous support of the Regents funding formula has been and will continue to be essential to support that growth. We're proud of the Corps' contribution to the education of young officers. Over the past decade, we have produced more than 400 commissioned officers for the United States Army, and we anticipate graduating an additional 45 new lieutenants this year. Among our graduates are many who serve in the Georgia National Guard. In fact, within the last 3 years, we have commissioned over 45 Guard officers, making North Georgia the state's largest single commissioning source. The Georgia Military Scholarship Program that has been funded by this legislature has been a crucial part of that success story. Our undergraduate military students have also contributed to our nation's armed forces in action. Over 120 have been deployed in recent conflicts, and we currently have more than 60 cadets serving with the 48th Brigade in Iraq. We are now reintegrating into the Corps 15 combat veterans, and we look forward to welcoming back our currently deployed cadets next fall. Our recent growth reflects the urbanization of the North Atlanta metropolitan area. Our student market draws heavily from this area and from the mountain counties surrounding Dahlonega. We see ourselves as a flagship institution for the Northeast Georgia region. To meet this need, we've established off-campus sites in Gainesville, on the campus of Gainesville State College, and in Forsyth County. North Georgia has a long history of high-quality and productive academic programs. Our pre-professional offerings in business and health-related professions serve the regional economy. We award annually more than 160 undergraduate business and 120 undergraduate nursing degrees, as well as more than 30 master's degrees in nursing and physical therapy. Graduates from these programs are eagerly hired by banks, accounting firms, business enterprises, and health providers throughout northern Georgia. Our pre-medical program has a distinguished record of graduates going on to medical, dental, and veterinarian schools. And our arts and science graduates compete exceptionally well for jobs in all economic sectors. Our education programs are especially well connected to the region's schools. We graduate on average between 275 and 300 new teachers a year, an aggressive effort to address the region and the state's critical shortage. We prepare more than 30 new school leaders annually through our graduate programs, and these programs also provide continuing professional education for teachers to retain and upgrade this workforce and to offer career advancement. Our relationship with the area's regional educational service agents, Pioneer RESA, is a powerful partnership for educational reform and professional development. A special tribute to the quality of our programs is demonstrated by the adoption of our early childhood special education program as the model for new programs at Macon and Gainesville State Colleges. If we are to fulfill our mandate for both military and civilian education, we must keep pace with key changes on the horizon. And one critical arena of change is military education. The Department of Defense and the U.S. Army have articulated new standards of preparation and achievement for the next generation of military officers. President Bush recently announced new funding of more than $800 million to support this goal for all of the services. These changes involve educating leaders with deeper intellectual and decision-making capabilities, more knowledge of other languages and cultures, and more technological skills. The Army is calling for professionals committed to lifelong learning, able to think innovatively, to adapt to unanticipated and uncertain conditions, and to understand the people and the countries in which they serve. We must educate our military students to meet these requirements. We're particularly pleased that the new military leadership model recognizes the value of knowledge and skills associated with the liberal arts and sciences. We see this convergence between military and liberal education as a great advantage for an institution that serves both military and civilian students, and that has highly reputed programs in the humanities and social sciences. These core programs are central to the leadership programs of the future. The adaptive military leader corresponds to the changing requirements for a first-rate liberal arts and sciences or pre-professional graduate working in other fields as well. This legislature has recognized North Georgia's distinctive mission through a special funding initiative over the past 4 years. This year, the governor's budget includes $620,000 for this program. Given the dramatic changes underway in military education, we ask that you continue to support this initiative and that you consider expanding this funding and incorporating it into our base budget. If you are able to do that, we can meet the Army's demand for the officers of the future. We also hope that you will find a way to support our major capital project, a library technology building that will provide our students with state-of-the-art information resources essential to the educational programs that are our core strengths. This project has been ranked third on the board's capital priority list for the past 2 years and has been part of the board's capital agenda since 1999. Your continuing support will be essential to meet several challenges we face in the future. We recognize that we must help ourselves and are actively involved in doing so. We are in the silent phase of the university's first ever capital campaign. We've begun a federal relations program to enhance our military education capabilities. We are building public and private venture partnerships for regional economic development, and we're exploring innovative funding approaches to meet capital needs. But we do rely on a stable and significant state appropriation. This appropriation is necessary to modernize, renovate, and expand our physical plant, to recruit and retain highly qualified faculty and staff, to improve teaching and learning and meet the burgeoning demand for our services, to provide our students with the education they deserve at a price they and their families can afford, and to sustain our unique contribution to the University System of Georgia's national reputation as one of the country's best. Thank you very much. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the members? Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, Doc. We're now Dr. C.B. Rathburn with Savannah Technical College. Welcome. One a little note for those I've been mentioning that this is live on the internet, the first time in Georgia history, I believe, from committee sessions. To view the meeting, go to www.legis.state.ga and link on to the left-hand side of the screen, he says. So if you want to go back home and know the exact time you were there, you could go to the archives.
I could do that.
Put yourself on the internet, sir. We're honored that you're here.
Well, I've been told that I have the face for radio. Maybe I have the face for internet, too, so we'll see. Chairman Smith, members of the committee, we're pleased also to have the Chairman Harvin with us. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here. I'll be very brief this afternoon. I'm going to follow this up with a letter to the committee with some materials. I'm here this afternoon to talk to you a little bit about a project that's been recommended by the governor, recommended by our state board, and is strongly needed by the folks in our community. Savannah Technical College first opened its doors in 1929 as the Opportunity School. It's a part of Chatham County Schools at that point in time. It converted to the state in 1998, and we serve a 4-county region with about 375,000 residents of Liberty, Bryan, Effingham, and Chatham. Our main campus is in South Savannah. We also have a campus in Liberty County that's just opened just last year, designed to really support the troops at Fort Stewart, the largest military institution east of the Mississippi. We later this spring will be starting the construction of a campus up in Effingham County that this General Assembly provided funding for over the last couple of years, and we appreciate that very much. We also appreciate very much your shared vision for what our mission is in the state, realizing that the systemic cure to most of the challenges that our state faces is a good job and the good skills necessary to get a good job. We realize that that's where our base of our economy will be for the future. We realize that also that many of the challenges we face in the social arena can best be addressed through better education and better technical opportunities for our students. The technology building that you have on your list there that's been recommended by the governor, it was recommended by our state board as the number 2 priority. We like to call it, and actually the local project, it's called the Center for Allied Health Sciences and Student Success. The need for this building is a result of over the last 5 years enrollment growth on the Savannah campus alone, that location alone, in the last 5 years of 93%. You might say, how do you grow that much and not grow any net gain in facilities, which has not happened on that campus in almost 18 years. Well, if you come to that campus right now, what you will see is 14 trailers. You will see people parking everywhere that there's not a tree. You'll see a tremendous desire by the citizens in that community to gain the education, but just not the resources necessary to support it. Because of great partners in our community and because of what I would say is a creative use of resources by our faculty and staff, we've continued to grow even though we did not have the infrastructure there to support it. This facility, this technology facility, will be the last major facility constructed on this White Bluff campus, on the South Savannah campus. As we continue to grow to meet our diverse service area, we're looking at areas out on the west side of town, out on the I-95 corridor where the tremendous growth is occurring, as well as places that will be out close to the airport. This facility is designed to meet the strategic initiatives established by this General Assembly and by this Governor. This facility will provide specific training to meet three of those strategic initiatives, as well as the overall initiative to create a better relationship between secondary and post-secondary environments. In the strategic initiatives areas, of course, you've heard a lot about allied health. Very much true in our area, too, especially with the growing retirement population we're finding in our area. The demand for people in all variety of allied health criteria is important. In addition, we're seeing a growth in the aerospace industry in our area, with the largest private sector employer in the Savannah region being Gulfstream. This new facility will support a new program in avionics and aviation electronics to support that effort, as well as an expanded effort in A&P training. The allied health programs we will add through this facility include registered nursing, ultrasound, radiation therapy, in cooperation with 2 brand new cancer centers opening in Savannah this year alone, new programs in EMS and EMT, and first responder training for the military, which is a critical issue, and a variety of others. In addition, working closely with the Maritime Innovation Logistics Center, we're expanding programs to support the economic engine for the state of Georgia, and that's the Georgia Ports Authority. New program areas in logistics, distribution, and transportation management to handle the growing number of distribution centers that are coming into our area. If you hadn't had the opportunity lately to wander through a distribution center in the Savannah area, you'll find a different environment than you think. It is not a lot of folks walking around or driving around in forklifts moving boxes. The technology environment that exists in those centers right now is absolutely incredible. Folks wearing vest-based laptop PCs, most of the work being done by automatic sorter structures. We're going to be training in RITT technologies and other technologies that make that next stage of distribution centers critical for us. Of course, we realize the expansion the Georgia Ports Authority is going to have over the next 10 years, projected at a conservative growth rate of about 10% a year. A vast majority of that workforce will be trained in this new facility. One other program in this facility we're very proud of. This will be the first time that we will have a comprehensive junior-senior high school located on the campus of a technical college. We have been working closely with the Corporate Academy, which is an alternative high school that's been in existence for about 12 years in Savannah, Chatham County, to relocate that high school onto our campus. The core educational requirement of the Corporate Academy will be delivered through the Georgia Virtual High School, which this General Assembly funded last year. In addition, every student in that Corporate Academy will be provided an internship experience off campus, as well as the opportunity to participate in any one of the over 70 technical education programs we operate on campus. We see this as a true integrated activity, reaching out and focusing on that dropout prevention area. We realize that most kids who drop out of high school in the state do so passing all their classes. They don't drop out of high school because they lack the ability to succeed. They drop out of high school because they lack the motivation to succeed. We hope that through programs such as the Corporate Academy integrated in this situation, that we can reduce dropout rates and increase the opportunity for these individuals to gain a skill set necessary in our environment. The growth in this area, as I mentioned, in support of this campus has been over 90% over the last 5 years, which clearly distributes this need. In addition, this facility will replace 14 trailers and provide the necessary parking to expand this campus. This will be the last facility we build on this campus. It will complete this campus. From that point forward, we will begin to explore other opportunities in our region for growth. If we say this is critical to support. But we're happy that the General Assembly and the Governor has asked DTAE to establish a priority structure. That priority structure we went through this past year was quite aggressive. The board spent a great deal of time on it. This facility and its need was ranked number 2 in the state, right behind the Okefenokee project you heard about earlier. And of course, it's also been recommended by our Governor, and we appreciate very much your continued support for this effort. And if I might end with just a couple of comments in general and then answer any questions you might have. We have a couple of other items that I know that many members of the technical college community have spoken with you about. They're not a part of our budget recommendation that we strongly encourage your support for. The first one is in the area of maintenance and repair, the old MR&R money. I don't like to use the last R because it's really not renovation money. If you owned our total facilities of the technical colleges in this state are about $1.7 billion. The maintenance and repair budget that you provide to us is about $7.5 million a year. If you compare that, if you owned a house that was worth $170,000, that would be like spending about $60 a month to maintain that facility. So we're not talking about that much money. Plus, I think in order to be great stewards of the resources that the taxpayers have given us, it is imperative that we maintain those facilities to get the greatest longevity of use out of them. I strongly encourage and ask for your support for the bringing back of that $7.5 million from the maintenance and repair part of our budget. In addition, the equipment side of our budget was also not included in the governor's recommendation. We are an equipment-driven operation. In order for us to provide the kind of training that is necessary to meet the workforce needs of this state, we must make sure that our equipment is up to date. The amount of money that we've had in there for the past few years for equipment is not even enough really to handle just the transition of our microcomputers. You know that every 3 to 4 years you have to transition out that entire group in order to stay current. The equipment side of our house is critical. On the other side, our technical colleges across the state have gone to our local communities through the Tech Match program the last few years and have asked our local businesses to write checks to our foundations, to provide equipment to our foundations, with the caveat that that was going to be matched by the state. So we've asked those folks to invest in our college, and through the Tech Match program, which was a part of the equipment allocation that you gave us, that money would come back to support our institutions. And we hope that you'll help us go back and tell those business partners that, yes, indeed, the General Assembly recognizes and values your commitment and will help support this effort. But we appreciate your support for our technical building and the needs that it will meet in the fastest growing economic region of the state of Georgia, Savannah. Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Questions? I've got one.
Yes, sir.
Your foundation. What type of generosity are we seeing from your foundation in Savannah?
In the last 18 months, we've kicked off our first major capital campaign. We're in the quiet phase of it. It's a $5 million campaign called the Focus Investment Campaign. To date, we've raised a little bit over $2.3 million, and that's just on the capital side. In addition to that, on an annual basis, we raise between $300,000 and $400,000 in either cash or equipment to support our equipment needs. In the past, that's been supported also through the Tech Match program that the state has matched those dollar for dollar up to a certain amount. We're hoping to complete the entire renovation of our Learning Resources Center on our campus totally with private money and not having to come to the General Assembly to do that. I think the potential out there for us to be more involved in the philanthropic environment is great, but it's one of those things that takes some time. Traditionally, technical colleges don't have the alumni infrastructure that the University of Georgia would have to raise significant dollars. Individuals invest in Savannah Technical College because they see the value and the return on the investment, and we're very, very pleased that they've chosen to entrust us with those commitments.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Service.
It's good to see you at Skidaway, too.
We've got out of order a while ago. We need to put in place now Dr. Betty Siegel from Kennesaw State University, and I'd love to hear what you have to say, Dr. Siegel. Sure. Let me get your number here. Representative Earhart.
I won't take away from your time, Dr. Siegel, but I know that you've served the state for 25 years and, as my constituent, and I know that you're retiring, and we're appreciative. For the 16 years I've been on this committee, I've seen you come down here. I think this is, Dr. Siegel, is probably the last time that you'll probably have to come down and talk to us on a formal basis. And I just, for one, wanted to thank you for all those years.
Oh, thank
everything
you.
You've done for our university.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful 25 years. Today's my birthday, so the good news is continuing on. I was introduced this morning at the Commission for New Georgia as taking over the presidency when I was 15. Not true. But I am just delighted to be here with you all today, and I thank you for 25 years of listening to us very carefully. So Chairman Smith and the other members of the House Appropriations Higher Education Committee, I'm grateful for the 25 years that shows support for higher education. It's good to be with you today. I want to talk to you a little bit about our growth, to put our request into some kind of legitimacy. When I first came to Kennesaw State 25 years ago, we had about 4,000 students. Today, you know our history is extraordinary. We are close to 19,000 students right now. And so the growth has been phenomenal. Every 5 years I thought I might go to another university, but the university had become exactly the kind of college I wanted to be at that time, and I'm so glad I stayed. We're now the third largest four-year institution in the state, right behind only UGA and Georgia State. Our growth has been the stuff of legend. I like to think that it continues, not in number of students. I would hate to think that that was our claim to fame. But its growth in academic programs, its growth not only in size of programs, but also into a measure of the contributions that we make to Georgia and beyond. We were mentioned in a wonderful book in 1986 called Searching for Academic Excellence. It's a great opportunity for us to be recognized as 20 colleges on the move. Then in 1991, we were called the Rising Star of Regional Universities. Just these last 3 years, we've moved into a dramatic national posture. We've been named in a marvelous study of Stewards of Place as one of the 6 most engaged universities, public institutions in the country. We've been named among another study on Foundations of Excellence as the 12 institutions known for its first-year experience program. And then in international, we've been named in Global Learning for All, with being named as 8 distinctive benchmarking institutions internationally. So our growth has not just been in size, but what I'd like to think is that we're growing in size and stature and service and specialization and sophistication, but into steeples of distinction. And so today, when I talk to you about steeples of distinction, I want to tell you where we are with particular space needs. For a variety of historical reasons, it's difficult to fund institutions such as ours with the kind of buildings that we need to take care of all that growth. And so when you look at this system, if we were to look at how much we need, we would need right now, to be the average of the state university system, 8 buildings the size of our Burris building, which houses our College of Business. So that puts it into perspective, how much importance it is for us to think in terms of what we need. You will recall last year that we had a project, the Wilson Building addition and renovation, which would provide 15,000 square feet of critically needed new space to meet our deficit. We did that because it's used for the arts, and we are very interested, as you know, in the impact of reaccreditation as well as enrollment growth. In that renovation that we suggested would be 68,000 square feet of existing space to maximize the utility and the return and investment in doing something with our older and outdated facilities. We outlined that Wilson Building addition and renovations project for you last year in great detail. I again solicit your support this year for funding as requested by the governor in the fiscal year 2007. I want to follow up on a capital priority proposal that we have, and that's for a $5 million education classroom building. It's as critical as any other need on our campus. The funding for the $4.9 million Wilson Building project, again this year, is that we're now 1 year later in the process of making our case for funding for our other capital projects. So, of course, any delay is very critical to us. Let me talk to you just a minute about the capital needs. Our number 1 ranked minor request is for our proposed education classroom building. It's a $5 million minor. Our number 1 ranked major remains our proposed health science building, and that's a major building, $53 million, to include $10 million in private funding. Let me talk about the mission for the Bagwell College of Education. It's our largest and fastest growing producer of teachers in the state of Georgia. And our Wellstar College of Health and Human Services is the 2nd largest number of nurses every year, trailing only the Medical College of Georgia. Our capacity to have the needs to meet the new teachers and the new nurses is capped dramatically by facilities that are, quite frankly, far in excess of capacity. I think it's interesting that Governor Perdue's recently announced proposal to reduce class size in Georgia's K-12 has received very deserving praise. Set aside significant cost issues, the governor's proposal will increase Georgia's demand for teachers 10%, beyond the current shortages. If we can construct this proposed $5 million education classroom building, it will assist in meeting that shortage. This is a proposed building of 23,000 square feet, 2-story facility, give us 11 new classrooms, 3,000 square foot tiered classroom, 1,000 square foot computer lab, conference room, and 7 faculty offices. This will facilitate a great increase in the number of teacher graduates each year. Now, one of the things that we think is exciting about this project is that we're assured that we can secure $5 million more and private foundation funding. Now, that's a good mix. The new education classroom building, in conjunction with planned early childhood learning center, will be an opportunity for us to not only provide more service for teachers, but certainly to get it applied and basic research in the field of development for children. Neil Postman has said that children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see. We're vitally interested in the teaching of teachers as they teach our students. Now, one of the things that I'd want to also mention in just passing, that our Wellstar College of Health and Human Services collaborates with Georgia Highlands College and local hospitality to offer a unique associate degree in Rome, Georgia, as we meet state needs with state funds and being responsive. I would be certainly very important for me to tell you that this new health science building that we have is highly important for us. In teaching, we know that we respond to state needs for highly qualified teachers, and our professional teacher education unit produced a 50% increase in annual degrees last year. Our students in teaching rank among the tops in Georgia with a first-time passing rate of 98% this past year. Our nursing graduates rank among the highest in the state in first-time passage rate on the pre-license exam for nurses. And graduates for our nurse practitioner program, the largest in the state, have consistently ranked at the top of national certification. I think we're talking about quality plus growth. And we pledge you our continued efforts to be of benefit to the state through quality programs, quality growth, quality services, quality buildings. I want to compliment you all. How many of you are teachers in this group of legislators? Wrong. How many of you are? All of you. All of you. You facilitate learning. And so today I salute you and thank you for being teachers. And I like to think that as legislators, you're stewards of place. I like to think that we are also stewards of place as fellow educators with you. Thank you very much for what you do and for listening so intently to us.
Any questions? Representative Royal.
Dr. Siegel, you mentioned a major project, and I don't find it in the Regent's priority list. Can you tell me where that is in the scheme of things?
Earl?
It has been requested for the last 3 years and has not currently made the Regent's list.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a 50 million plus?
Yes. Yes. And what I was trying to do is make the case that with this nursing shortage and with the high productivity that we have in nursing, that building is critical to us.
We have a big shortage in all allied health
Of
fields,
course.
too, and nursing
Indeed.
especially. We
So
have that down in South Georgia also.
So we've presented it 3 years, and it's still a critical need for us.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Representative Martin.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, and with due respect to the Regents, and certainly not trying to circumvent their authority, I'd be interested on some information about that, just to see. I'm sure there's a good reason it hasn't gotten there. I'd just like to see what your plans are in a little more detail, again, without trying to get in front of the Regents, to respect their place in the world and understand mine. But I'd love to see the project.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Representative Dean.
You spoke about the growth area. What would that number?
I'm sorry.
The number of increase in students.
That we had grown from 4,000 to about 19,000 now.
Okay. And that seemed to be all over the state. In every, all over the state, there's a growth in individual attending technical schools now.
Yes.
Okay.
I think our growth, what is the figure that we use? 139% in the last several years, and our growth will continue. We believe that in the projections of the capacity study that we may grow up to 25,000 rather quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? I want to thank you for your long years of service, 25 years of Georgia, and going from 4,000 to 19,000 in such a short time. Great service, and we want to thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's good.
We stood up there. Thank you. We're going to move on now. Next one is Ms. Kathy Love with Flint River Technical College. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Wait just a second, ma'am. And by the way, we're right on schedule. Back to schedule.
I'm going to try to keep you that way, too.
That'd be great. Thank you for being here.
Are you ready for me to begin? All right, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you today regarding Flint River Technical College's capital outlay request for FY07. As you probably know, our proposed industrial training facility was number 4 on our department's major projects priority list. This project is vitally important to our college's operations and future growth, and I'm sure you'll agree with me after hearing my justification that we must find a way to fund this project next year. I've given you a handout of a presentation that's far too lengthy for me to present today, but I do hope that you'll follow along as I hit some of the high points and then carefully review it at your leisure. It'll make some good bedtime reading when you can't sleep. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Flint River Technical College and the area that we serve. The main campus is located in Thomaston, Upson County, and although last year we had students enrolled from 57 different counties in Georgia, our official service area is Talbot, Taylor, and Upson counties. These are 3 very rural, very economically depressed counties who have struggled admirably to overcome some pretty tough economic blows over the past 6 years. Our credit student enrollment last year was almost 1,600 students. If you add to this our adult literacy, continuing education, industry-specific training, and community service programs, we touched the lives of nearly 6,400 students. Our credit program growth has been astronomical. From FY01 to FY04, our full-time equivalent student enrollment increased over 95%, and that's without adding any satellite campuses or new facilities anywhere in our service area. On our main campus, that's the growth that we saw. Although we had a slight decrease last year, I'm proud to say that even with that decrease, our number of graduates increased, and our job placement rate remains astounding, particularly for the economic area that we live in. You have a bar graph in your presentation that depicts our growth from FY91 through 05, and it paints a pretty clear picture of how much we've grown. We at Flint River Tech know that our sole mission is workforce development, and we also know that that goes hand in hand with economic development. Upson County, by virtue of location, is poised to see extraordinary growth in the next few years, from urban Atlanta moving to the south, from the west with Columbus, and from the east with Macon. We like to say we're in the middle of the Golden Triangle. And so just by virtue of location alone, we know that we're going to grow, and we need to be ready for that growth. We also know that we need to prepare our citizens for a workforce and for a business and industry culture that's going to be far different than any that they've seen in the past. Historically, a textile industry area of the state, Upson County has seen a loss of almost 3,500 textile jobs since 1999. We have also felt the fallout of a post-9/11 environment and lost over 650 jobs in other manufacturing areas. We're a very strong manufacturing community with the vast majority being textiles. In a community with a labor force of less than 13,000 people in 2000, those were particularly hard losses to absorb. Through a lot of hard work by a lot of very good people, we've been successful in the creation of approximately 800 new jobs since 2002. Many of these jobs are service industry and retail jobs and don't bring with them the benefits and the pay that this workforce enjoyed in the past. However, we're thankful to have any jobs that we can in Upson County. 75% of those jobs, however, are manufacturing jobs, both in the textile industry and in other industries. Our Industrial Development Authority is concentrating on attracting a diverse industry base so that we're never again at the mercy of a particular segment of manufacturing. Just this past week, we received a preliminary notification from an industry that's going to be locating in Upson County, or has plans to, that will be a manufacturer of wood products, and they have an anticipated employment of 150 to 200 people. These jobs will require a substantially different skill set than the textile workers had in the past, and we've got to be ready to retrain these folks so that they're ready to go to work for this new industry. One thing we do have in our area is a workforce that's ready and able to retrain and go to work. We have a wonderful, wonderful work ethic in Upson County and the surrounding area. These are good people who want to work hard. We know that we have a hidden workforce, though. If you look at our unemployment rate, it appears to have declined back to the pre-Thomaston Mills closure of about 6%. A little above the state average still, but about where it was before Thomaston Mills went out of business. But we know that that's not the true picture. We know that we still have a lot of people that have not gone back to work. We went from an all-time high of 16% in 2001, and it looks like we're back down at about 6%. You've got some charts in your presentation that paint a pretty clear picture of what's happened, though. If we look at our labor force numbers and look at the population of Upson County, we can see that in a 3-year period between 2001 and 2 and 3, that our labor force participation rate declined to 37%. If you look at the state of Georgia over that same time period, there's a 50 to 52% stable labor force participation rate. This tells us that we've got people who have given up the job search, that are no longer showing up on the unemployment rolls and are not calculated in that unemployment rate that we see with the Department of Labor. We've got to have a way to reach that workforce, retrain them, and help them return to work. So I think you'll agree with all of these economic conditions, we've got the economic justification that we need for our new building. Notwithstanding this economic justification, Flint River Tech's current facilities more than justify this new capital outlay expenditure. We currently have almost 96,000 square feet in 3 permanent structures on 37 acres. We also utilize a modular classroom for instruction, and we've converted a metal maintenance shed into a welding lab. I had somebody refer to it last week by saying we teach welding in a tin can, and unfortunately that was a very appropriate analogy. We also have 3 leased facilities in Thomaston, Butler, and Talbotton that are used mainly for our non-credit operations. One that we're very proud of, just recently our foundation purchased the former Thomaston Mills headquarters, which is an entire city block in downtown Thomaston, and we've moved all of our non-credit instruction into that facility to free classroom space on our main campus. That's allowed us to expand some of our allied health programs, to start some new programs, for example, court reporting, and some of the other business ed programs that we have just recently begun. The space that we need is the kind of space that this facility is going to give us, industrial space. Space that we can get this welding lab out of the tin can, where we can offer machine tool, where we can offer plastics technology, some of the courses, diesel technology, the things that you can't do in a traditional classroom. If we only look at fairness and equity, I don't believe you can dispute the fact that this Flint River Tech's time has arrived. Our original building was constructed in 1963 at a whopping cost of $227,000 of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars. 2 additions to the facility were constructed in 1975 and 1990 for approximately $621,000. In 1993, we received the last capital outlay funding that we have received, and that was a little bit over $3 million, and it enabled us to construct 2 additional buildings on our main campus, one of which is an on-site daycare center. We provide daycare for our students on-site. This is just over $3 million. If you don't go away from this presentation hearing anything else that I say, I hope that you will remember this. That's the last time that we've had any capital outlay expenditure in 1993. No other technical college in the state of Georgia has gone that long without capital funding. So as I said, equity and fairness alone could justify this building, but I'm a taxpayer too. I wouldn't want you to invest in a major building project just because it was the fair thing to do. Our performance also justifies this project. We were one of only 10 technical colleges in the state who received performance-based operational funding in all 3 categories. We were number 1 in the system-wide retention rate, number 4 in job placement, and number 13 in system-wide graduation rate. So hearing about the economic conditions we're living in, I think those are pretty great accomplishments, and we're very proud of what the hardworking people at Flint River Tech have done and the students that have come there. Our college received the highest ranking possible for our audit results. So we take very seriously taking care of the money and making sure that we do the right thing. Our square footage per full-time equivalent student was 11th lowest in the state. And if you back out about 7,000 square feet that we have in the daycare center that can't be used for instruction with our adults, we're probably much closer to the bottom of that list. So all of the above performance criteria were analyzed by our state board when they came up with that priority list, and they saw fit to put us near the top of the list, priority number 4. Although this facility has been requested for several years prior to my even coming to Flint River Technical College 4 years ago, this was the year that I felt certain that we were going to finally be able to realize our dream. It was my understanding that our department had a commitment to fund these projects in the order that they were prioritized by our state board. Instead, we were skipped, and 2 other projects ranked at 5 and 7 were recommended for funding. I'm very happy for my colleagues for getting their projects recommended for funding. I certainly wouldn't begrudge them that, and I know that they've got great justification for those projects. However, it would certainly have seemed more appropriate that they got funded without skipping Flint River Technical College. You can see in your handout further description of the current conditions that we have on our campus. We've got a few pictures and a campus master plan drawing in there. You can also see the new and existing programs that we plan to offer in this facility support the governor's strategic initiatives. We feel very confident that the programs that we're choosing to offer are programs where our students can be successful and go to work and support the governor's strategic initiatives. This project is estimated to cost less than $7.6 million. You can see the itemization, I believe it's about the next to the last page on your handout of how we came to that cost. If you see fit to recommend funding for us in FY07, we believe that we can begin construction in March of 2007 and have students occupying the facility and receiving state-of-the-art training by March of 2008. Finally, I want to leave you with my sincere appreciation for considering the recommendation of this project in your budget. I'm not a native Upson Countyan. As I said, I've only been there about 4 years. I came shortly after the Thomaston Mills closure in order to address the workforce development needs that we have in that community. Our community has received a lot of attention and a lot of praise for how we've addressed the tough economic blows that we've suffered. This attention is not just local. I put in your packets a copy of a news article that was in the New York Times that I thought was very appropriate to reference today. The title of this article was "Milltown Mourns Its Mill, Then Reinvents Itself." This title says it all. What we're asking is that you help us to continue to reinvent ourselves and provide the training opportunities for our citizens that will help them reinvent their lives. They've suffered some terrible blows, and we need to be there to help them get back on their feet. I appreciate your time today. I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Representative Chairman Harbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How are you, Ms. Love?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Couple of quick questions. You referenced the priority list, and I believe it was our understanding, I assume it was yours as well, that this would be the first year that the technical adult would actually have a priority list. Is that correct? Up till then, we'd had a priority list, but it wasn't ranked in order. But they were ranked in order, I believe, this year. Is that correct?
They were ranked in order this year, certainly. I'm not certain that wasn't the case in the past, but I know this year they were ranked in order.
Well, I believe they were just listed in the past, weren't they? But they were not a. They may have everybody may have referenced it as a number, but I don't know that it was a priority.
That's probably the case, yes.
What number were you?
4.
You were 4. Mm-hmm. But number 5 and number 7 have been funded, but number 4 was not.
Right.
But in the past, I think we followed those priority lists pretty well, haven't we, as we funded down as far as we could on a priority list, but we may not have funded the full list, but we'd go down as far as we could, but we stayed in order typically, I think, didn't we?
I can't address that question. I really don't know.
I believe we did, but do you have any reason? I mean, is this project, how long has it been on the priority list?
This project last year was number 2 on the pre-design priority list. Now, whether that's a true priority or not, as you mentioned, or it just happened to be the number that was beside it, we were number 2 on the pre-design list. Prior to that, I believe we were number 7 or 8 on the pre-design list. As you know, the whole process has changed. In the past, we would ask for pre-design money, then you'd come back and get money for the design, and then the construction, and then the equipping and personnel in the projects. So I think a part of this process was to make sure that we weren't out there pre-designing and spending a lot of money on projects that weren't ever going to be built.
Right.
And so I praise the process. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful improvement. I think that everyone paid closer attention. We actually did what we call a mini pre-design, which is a project study. So we've invested our dollars into making sure that we've got a sound plan for you and for the citizens of Georgia, that it's going to address a need in our area. So I think it's a great, certainly a great improvement to the planning process. And so this year, with this ranking, we were placed number 4.
And I think you probably agree that if we're going to establish priority lists, it's in the benefit of the state if we follow those.
Oh, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Representative Martin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I apologize. I do have to leave to another meeting after this. To follow up on Chairman Harbin's questions, I noticed if you were to get on, had you gotten your money, you have your schedule of when you would get there. I would like, if someone can, in brief, as we, I know this is for 07 for the big budget, but if somebody from the institution could kind of give us true picture. Don't slant it. We believe in you. Don't slant it. You don't have to do that. But of what the impacts are in those counties and those communities if we put you back a year. I mean, you don't have to answer that today. That's just something.
Okay.
What are you going to deliver in spring of 2008 if you get funded in this budget that you might not be delivered to 2009? And get with your Chamber of Commerce and tell us what that affects in economic dollars down in that area, because that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's how the priorities, I think, got there. And I respect everybody's opinion on everybody's projects are important, but if you could do that, I think that would be helpful when we look at. We heard from the university system the billions of dollars of impact that higher education. I'm sort of convinced that your department and your school have that same kind of impact. It may be over a smaller geographic area, but it's a very important one.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I can give you one quick answer where we'll be in March of 2008. We'll still be teaching welding in a tin can.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's not where we want to be in March of 2008, obviously. But I certainly can get you that information. We did participate in a community college benefit survey, a pilot project a few years ago that talked about the economic impact of Flint River Technical College on our service area, and I think you'd be a little bit pleasantly surprised.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Next is Dr. Ruth Nichols from North Georgia Technical College. Thank you, Representative Crawford. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being Dr. Ruth.
The first thing I want to say is Flint River really is a great school. And I don't have that many notes or handouts. And I'm actually, for the first time in my life, not on any list. So I'm not really here asking for money this year. But I'm from North Georgia Technical College, and we're the northeast corner of the state, and we cover 7 counties: White, Habersham, Union, Rabun, Stevens, Towns, and Franklin. And that goes from Blairsville to Royston. And I just wanted to share with you some of the things that you've done for us that have really made an impact on our operation there at North Georgia Tech. We're the oldest technical college in the state. In fact, next year, there will have been something in higher education on that property for 100 years. So I guess we have to start planning parties. But we are the oldest, and we also have dormitories, and that gives us a little bit different flavor than some of the other colleges. Just South Georgia Tech and North Georgia Tech are the ones with dorms, and gosh, we really love them because it really allows us to create a family atmosphere. Last year, y'all saw fit to put $7.5 million into the budget to repair some very, very needed buildings, their roofs, their heating and air conditioning, and I'm proud to say that soon we will start construction on a new roof for one of our buildings where we have community members come and stay sometimes, and we have an abundance of trash cans because they catch leaks. And so we're going to have a trash can burning in the middle of campus after our new roof. So thank you very, very much. Also, I always feel funny talking about this one, but this one probably will have more. It has more impact on our lives than even the roof, and that is that y'all gave us the funding to create a new sewer for our campus. And it's I tell you, it's fun to ask for a sewer every year, but we were about to get in trouble with the city, and they were blaming us for all the water problems in the area, so we're just excited. We have some construction going on now at the Clarksville campus, and we're going to put a new sewer in conjunction with that construction that's already going on. But in addition to that, just like all of the state, we've also seen plants close down. It's not a lot of industry in our area anyway. And we realized that no one was going to come in and open a 3,000 employee plant next door. So we've taken a real interest in looking at the value that we already have there and adding to it. And so we have taken a real interest in the agribusiness area and also in the entrepreneurship area. And part of the emphasis that we've taken in the agribusiness and the agritourism area has to do with the fact that there are a multitude of vineyards in our area. And we met with our vineyard owners and asked them what they needed, who they could hire, what kind of workers they needed. And they assured us that they needed vineyard technicians who could watch the crops and know when there were pests there, know when there were diseases, and let them know how to treat the crops. And so we have started a vineyard technician program there at the college underneath our agriculture umbrella, which we also have our horticulture program and several others. We also received a grant to build and to teach aquaculture. And we grow fish and shrimp there on the campus and teach others to grow fish and shrimp for a living, or at least for an additional income. Some of the things that we teach, we don't always feel like people are going to take on as their entire living, because sometimes they won't make enough money. But if we can teach them something to add to their income, then that's going to be dollars spent in our economy too. So along with aquaculture and vineyard technician, we realize that many of our programs lend themselves to people opening their own businesses. And so we have a small business resource center there on campus, and also a very strong entrepreneurship program, which is taught in the classroom as well as online. And we encourage as many of our students as can to go through that, because people in the communities will tell you all the time that small businesses really struggle if they don't have some sort of roadmap that they can follow as they go along in their business. Another thing that we started it has some impact on the entire state is we started trying to replenish some old equipment that we had, and we are building a couple of new buildings, but we're moving old equipment into it. So we appreciate all the equipment dollars that y'all gave us last year for to replace any of that obsolete equipment. Manufacturers and business people will give us equipment if they can, so that our people can train on the kinds of equipment that they use in their industry, but that's not always available. So it is very necessary for us to try to keep up with all the industries and the businesses that for whom we train employees. We also are working real hard to raise the money, not ask you for the money, but our foundation is working on a fundraising campaign to renovate our old gym. We have an old gym there on campus, and just about everybody in the community played basketball there at one time or another, but it's been in disrepair for years and was used for storage for a while. So our foundation is seriously raising money so that we can renovate that gym and actually bring other teams there to play with us, rather than just our students being able to play at home. I think that's about all I have to say. Is just thank you. You've been wonderful to us and to the entire system, and the maintenance and repair that we have to do is incredible, especially at our old colleges where the buildings have old boilers and things that I've never heard of before. But the renovation and repair of all of our campuses is extremely important, and I just want to say thank you for giving us as much as you can every year, because I really, truly believe that we use it wisely.
Thank you, Doc. Representative Roy.
Dr. Nichols, you may have said, but I didn't hear you. Where's your home campus?
Clarksville.
Clarksville. Okay, the campus at Blairsville, it's a fairly new campus, isn't it?
It opened in 1999. And we have a new campus, too, another campus also. Currey campus opened in July of this past year. It's in Stevens County, but pretty much serves Hart, Franklin, and Stevens over in that area.
Did I hear you correctly in that you don't have any minor projects or major projects
No,
on
sir.
the priority list?
No, sir, I have as much as I can handle right now. No, sir, we really don't. Now, our time will come around, but we've been blessed the last few years by you guys, and we're just trying to make wise use of what we have already before we ask for some
your
more.
Major needs are in maintenance and repairs and equipment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a couple of questions. You're talking about the vineyards. How many number of vineyards in the area, and what is the economic impact of what you're working in that regard?
Now, you know, I don't know how many dollars that brings in, but there are about 13 vineyards in our counties, and then there's some more in the Forsyth and Dawson and counties next door to us. And the impact is truly growing. They are beginning to be stronger taxpayers, and they're hiring people. They're giving back to our economy, and so I think that is going to grow and grow, especially in our area because the climate is just right for them to grow grapes.
And your foundation, what is the level of generosity at the local level?
Well, the foundation, it's hard to believe that the oldest college in the state was the last one to form a foundation, but we did about 5 years ago. And so our funds are not just huge yet, but we are trying to raise $3 million to renovate our gym and turn it actually into a community building where the community can have gatherings of a larger size than they can anywhere else in the community, and we can also use it to play basketball.
Finally, the shrimp business. You have jumbo, medium, and large?
Whatever you want.
Thank you, Dr. Ruth.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord. All right. Dr. Harlan Krim was Chattahoochee Technical College. Oh, me. You having fun yet? Glad you're here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and note your interest in the vineyards. I would tell you that our Culinary Institute at the college is about to enter a new endeavor in developing a wine institute. So we'll bring samples next time, hopefully, if we can. But thanks to you, Chairman Bob Smith, and members of the committee. Representative Earl Earhart is from my community, who has stepped out, and I certainly want to recognize him. I am Harlan Krim. I'm privileged for 23 years to be the president of Chattahoochee Technical College in a time when I think college presidents and superintendents are 4 or 5 year tenure. So I really feel privileged to have been able to do that all this time. This year our college celebrates 45 years of education and services to the area community. The college started in 1961, was founded then with 12 students enrolled in electronics, and that course was taking place in an old elementary school. And today there are 6,000 students on 4 campuses, 3 in Cobb and 1 in Paulding, serving a community in Paulding and Cobb of over 800,000 people, and involved in the consortium of education out there with the public schools and the universities, and enjoying a great relationship and carrying education from K through graduate school to that population. We've experienced an 85% growth in enrollment from fall of 2000 to 2005, and we've maintained one of the lowest cost per student during that period among our colleges, and we're proud of that. It has the highest enrollment among our 34 technical colleges, and the second highest enrollment among all 46 public 2-year colleges in Georgia, and it's 12th among 68 public colleges and universities in our state. So we are now a player in this greater community of higher education. Community College Week noted in the year 2002, late 2002, that our college was the fastest growing 2-year college in the nation. So while growth is the heartbeat of our campus, quality programs and services, though, are the spirit and commitment to our community. Another thing maybe of note and interest is perhaps there are 800 high school students dually enrolled in our college, and most of those our teachers teach at the high school, and they do not impact our need for more space that they are taught out there in the high school, but we are teaching some on our campus. One of our goals is to have a high school centered on our campus, a technical high school, and we've visited those around the country to find a model that's appropriate for us. There are In our region, there are 500, and because I guess of our region, there are 500 international students or people who have whose native language may not be English are represented on our campus, and 100 of those are on student visas, and they represent about 40 countries around the world. So our enrollment has continued to increase. The only decline we've had is the 1 year when the Hope Cap went on for the high school, and the high school students, it did decrease a little, but our off-the-street enrollment was even up at that time. I think there are challenges, a lot of them. I'll mention 2 or 3 for us in higher education today. One of the greater global challenges for us and for you as a representative of the people of our state, and that is that Georgia ranks last in the nation in the percentage of young and working age adults participating in higher education. And that is according to the National Center for Public Policy and Higher Education. And the thing that is, to me, that's most troubling is that percentage has actually dropped in a decade from 35 to 32% on our 19-year-olds, and that's the decade that they had free tuition. So that, I think, is problematic for all of us. The other thing is the growing number of underprepared students entering college, and that the work that is required then to get them on track to move ahead. Well, looking at Paulding, we're asking to you today to consider the recommendation of a building in Paulding County. It's in Dallas. Paulding's population has been growing. It's over 100,000 now. It's the 11th fastest growing county in the United States and the 4th fastest in Georgia as of last year, early last year. Our campus in Paulding is the only open door there to post-secondary education in that county, and there's a critical need for additional technical and occupational programs there to support the citizens' need for education and economic growth for the county. And there is also an increasing need in dual enrollment. They really like out there our dual enrollment program where these young kids are getting college credit. And I look at that as the taxpayer pays once. If a kid gets a freshman English course, or most of ours are occupational, but an example of a freshman English course pays once because it gets college credit, and he doesn't have to do it again. Now, our college over the years, and many of you know this, has not depended on the state for all its capital improvement needs. Cobb County government in the Cobb has developed 2 campuses and put in $8 million in capital, 3 buildings, 60,000 square feet by Cobb County taxpayers. And in Paulding, the Paulding citizens donated 29 acres of prime property on 278, the big 4-lane highway in that county, and Highway 61, which is now the gateway to Dallas, $2.3 million to support our college there. It is the 10th anniversary of that campus. It opened 10 years ago. It's a 40,000 square foot building. It has dedicated space in child care and nursing, and then some other but not full programs because there's just not enough room to do it. The building houses, depending on the time of year, from 800 to 1,000 students, and it's now inadequate to serve the higher education and training needs in that county. So we're proposing, as you see on the handout, a building of 61,000 square feet at the cost of $11 million, and we plan to put in several new programs out there to benefit that county after reviewing with the chamber and the government, the people out there, and the public schools and the people out there. Environmental horticulture, small business entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is something that's really moving in the country in 2-year colleges. We're partnering with a high school in biomed engineering technology, warehouse management, public works civil technology, construction technology, water quality technician. Elder care and licensed practical nursing, we really want to expand in that area, and life science management, medical laboratory technology. So just a number of things, and the health, particularly in life science, are right in tune with the governor's strategic initiatives. So that's just a brief story. There's as annually 6,000 stories out there, but I want to stop now and offer an opportunity for any question that you have, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you very much, and for all you've done for us.
Thank you. Members, committee. I've got a question about your foundations. I'd like to ask this question about their generosity. You mentioned them $2.1 million for the purchase of the land for this facility.
Right, for Paulding County, the land there, the 29 acres was donated there. Then it's valued today at about $2.3 million. The Cobb County government over in Cobb County has actually put in cash $8.5 million for land and buildings, and 60,000 square feet of our 330,000 square feet college-wide, 4 campuses, was paid for by the taxpayers in Cobb County and the state did obviously put the equipment in there, and so we're operating that way. But it's a great contribution to the college and allowed us to expand at a time when we weren't on the priority list down here.
Your foundation, what extent do they help you?
The capital campaign that we are nearly finished now is a $4 million capital campaign. We're at $3.8 million and hoping to finish that out soon. When we get that close, we want to get on the way. What a dedicated group we have out there, and we think we're going to continue to be successful. We know that we're novices as two-year colleges, particularly here, and the technical colleges, the private colleges first, and then the university system, that kind of all around this country. The two-year colleges have come along, and the community colleges around the country are ahead of us. So we're novices, but we're moving up, and we're going to be bigger players in that arena. And of course, in Cobb County, remember you just had Betty Siegel. It's always not good to follow Betty Siegel, but you have Betty Siegel, and you have Southern Poly, and you have the huge Wellstar Hospital Foundation. You have a lot out there, and for me, that's competition. But we're out there working it, and we've done pretty well.
Thank you. Members?
Yes, sir.
Representative Dean.
You have enrollment. You said your enrollment is about 6,100.
Yes, I believe it's slightly over 6,200 in the fall of 05.
And what's your projection of increase in enrollment?
Well, we believe that with the addition of new programs, we've operated, we all know, for about 3 years on a little bit of stationary level with the economy in Georgia and around the country. And so we believe we're going to, because we've sent, actually just recently, we've sent about 10 new programs to the state board. So we believe that's going to help us pump up. I think you're going to see enrollment out there from the 800 to 1,000 that we're putting in, really squeezing into 40,000 square feet. I think we're going to see that enrollment very soon pop over into the 1,500 and up range there. College-wide, it's very difficult to tell right now. When the economy comes back up, people don't necessarily go to college right away. They don't go till that hits them out there when they can't progress or improve themselves. So it's hard to say, but I do think we'll be approaching 10,000 students by 2010, 2011, 2012, that range, yeah.
This picture here of your campus, this is the only campus you have?
We have four. This is on the Paulding campus only, right there on that. Okay. This addresses only the Paulding campus in Dallas. Right.
And where did you say you rank on the request?
We're ranked 7th.
Number 7.
We were number 7.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Real quickly, tomorrow, once again, some of you may not have heard this, we're going to do a subcommittee meeting at the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studio number 3, and we welcome you to come tomorrow. And I may add to that list Quick Start. So, Laura, if you could maybe talk with people at Quick Start on a short notice to have a 5-minute presentation or so tomorrow. But tomorrow we're going to have Georgia Public Broadcasting, the public libraries, perhaps Quick Start, and then the Georgia Research Alliance. Live on television, and Georgia Public Broadcasting is going to feed this throughout the affiliates. Another thing, this is we're a little bit behind schedule by 5 minutes, but I wanted to say this. These meetings are held live on the internet through the legislative website, and I believe that the call was live broadcast. When you go onto the legislative.state.ga.us, click on the left-hand side, type in live broadcast, and for those that can't see it live, you go to the archives for the time that you might have made your presentation. For those of you who want to let your campuses view what you had said. So thank you very much. And right now, Dr. Frida Hill from Southeast Georgia Technical College. Thank you for being here, Dr. Hill.
Thank you.
Are you still with the home office downtown?
I'm Frida Hill, and I'm president at Southwest Georgia Technical College, and I'm serving as an interim assistant commissioner at the agency level. Thank you, Chairman Smith, for having me and other committee members, and a special hello to Richard Royal, who is Mitchell County and oversees our campus along with some others, but I know that we're his favorite. I, like Ruth, am not really asking for anything today, but I want to tell you about some exciting things that we're doing in our system. I'm going to give you a brief overview and then of our Stay in School project, and then I'm going to tell you about what one college is doing. We started this Stay in School initiative this year, and the purpose of this is to prevent 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students from dropping out of school, therefore the likelihood of them being successful completing high school. We have statewide participation. We have 23 of our technical colleges, and you have a map that shows where they're located, as well as a list of the technical colleges and the high school, middle schools that are involved in it. We have 145 middle and high schools in this project, approximately 20,000 8th grade students in FY06, and as many as 38,000 8th and 9th graders in 07. We'll have 3,000 8th and 9th grade teachers involved and 130 middle school counselors. So we have a lot of people working with our students to help them stay in school. Part of the performance indicators that we're going to use to make sure that we're successful and know that we're on track is one of the things is to do a career interest inventory. And our benchmark is that 80% of all 8th graders will complete a career interest inventory for this indicator. And then we're also going to ask that 80% of the 8th graders will complete an academic career plan. This is really important because in the 8th grade, the 8th to 9th grade is what we know when we lose a lot of our students for dropout. And then when they get in the 9th grade going on to the 10th, we see another big drop. So this is a real critical time for our students. We're going to have some structured guidance program and ask that 85% of the middle school teachers report being a part of a guidance program in their middle school. And then also that the middle school and high school teachers will meet and talk about these students, because that seems to be a real wide gap. They go from 8th grade to 9th grade and there's no communication between those teachers. So that's part of that expectation. We also are going to have some other indicators that we'll look at. We're asking for a decrease in the percentage of students who fail one or more courses in the 9th grade, and we're asking for a 10% drop in that. It doesn't seem like much, but that would make a huge difference for these students. We're also looking for a 10% decrease in the students who need remediation in the 9th and 10th grade. We're looking for a 10% decrease in the number of 9th and 10th grade students that have disciplinary referrals. We know that's a biggie. And then a 10% decrease in the absenteeism of the 9th and 10th graders. How are we paying for this? Well, our agency committed $1 million out of our budget to make this happen. We also got a little over $500,000 from a federal grant from the School to Work that was implemented, and then the colleges themselves have also put some of their money in there. Our commissioner and our agency has also said that in FY07 they will commit another $1 million. let me tell you what Southwest Georgia Technical College is doing with their schools. Now, part of the requirements for these grants was that you would work with a high school that had at least 3 feeder schools, 3 middle school feeders going in. And so Grady County actually was the county that we picked to work with because they were the one that met that criteria. The first thing that we did was have a really great motivational speaker, Chad Foster. I'm not sure if you know Chad, but he's a former professional tennis player and has spoken to our colleges before and in our high schools. He has several books out. But he talked to these students about credit card debt. He talked about needs versus wants. He talked about how to save and what are some of the secrets to saving money. He actually even talked to them about internet scams. He spoke to them on the pursuit of dreams and communication skills. He talked about early career preparation and networking skills. One of the other things that we did with our 8th graders is we administered it's called Me, Myself, and I, where you really get to know what you're made of and what you are, and the students find out things about themselves they really didn't realize that's really going to help them along their career path. Following that assessment, they used those results and gave them to the student and to the SIS, the Stay in School Coordinator, and placed them in a portfolio so that each of those 8th graders will go on to 9th grade with a portfolio. They actually, I'm sure you're familiar with Georgia College 411. We had the students go to that website and research some careers to see what's required to be in those careers, to see what kind of pay they could expect, what kind of earnings. And that was very exciting for our students to see that, and also generated a lot of interest because they know what they can do if they have those degrees and get into those occupations. They learned also the importance of budgeting and managing money. They looked at, and I think this is really critical, they saw maybe for the first time the difference in a salary of a high school graduate compared to a high school dropout. They've been taught also about first impressions. For the first time ever in this middle school, they had a professional dress day, and I understand that was quite exciting. Students have benefited from a number of different speakers talking about their careers. For instance, you might have a banker come in and talk about their career. You might have a welder or HVAC person or a financial advisor to come in and really explain what their career was all about. They also had testimonies from high school dropouts, and I understand that was a real eye-opener. What can you expect if you're a high school dropout? We had 359 8th graders to participate in the Education Go Get It essay contest. In fact, we had 150 essays that were actually submitted because they can work in teams to submit that. The middle school and high school teachers, counselors, and administration came together to discuss the concerns of this transition from middle school to high school. I know that some of you may be aware, some of the high schools in our state are doing 9th grade academies because that 9th grade is such a critical time and one where we see the largest dropout. We also have the SIS coordinator. Actually, it's a part-time person, not the full-time coordinator, but a part-time person at our campus in Cairo. Actually teaches 2 class periods to 9th graders. And they do everything from career assessment, career exploration, and preparing teens for the real world. And as I said, they continue to develop that career portfolio project. The SIS coordinator works with those 3 middle schools. So she's at one of those schools each day and then at the high school one day. So she's working with all the different levels. Some of the exciting things that they'll be doing in the future is they'll have career days. This summer we're going to have a camp for 28th grade at-risk students. We've done that before on our campus and it's very meaningful, and we actually have seen the results of some of those students that were in those summer camps actually graduate from one of our programs. And of course we'll be doing some college tours. We're also going to be doing some financial literacy classes for these 10th graders. As I said, they've already been exposed to some money management. You have your map and you have the list of colleges, and now I would entertain any questions about our Stay in School project.
Thank you. Representative Scheid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that not all of the technical colleges are partnering with high schools. And in particular, what I'm looking at is Cherokee County and Appalachian Tech. I don't see them listed.
Right. We actually had money to do 23, and some of them were called demonstration grants. Those were awarded based on having past experience with successful workings with the middle and high school students and systems. And then the others were competitive grants.
Were the decisions made based on the request from the colleges to do this, or was it from the department just choosing based on?
No, they were competitive. They had to submit a proposal on what they would do, and it was reviewed by a team at the agency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a follow-up question to that. Were there any schools or many schools that did not apply for this?
I was not at the central office at that time, but I don't believe we had any that did not apply. I think they all applied.
So almost every school district in Georgia applied for this. They just didn't
Each
receive.
technical college.
Okay.
It's run through the technical college. So each technical college submitted a proposal. And then they would work with a local school system.
Okay, but I guess my point is that are all the local school districts participating in this, or are they aware of this? Because I think it's fabulous what you're doing here. I'm just wondering if all the school systems are aware of what you're doing, and if they are, why are they not trying to participate?
Probably not. Remember, and I'll give you ours for example. Southwest Georgia Tech applied, okay? Actually, we were a demonstration grant, but at any rate, if we applied, then we would look at all of we serve 3 counties, and so we would look at the school systems in those 3 counties. Criteria was that you would have a school system that had 3 middle school feeders into high school, and so that's what they looked at. That would be one thing, but it's up to the technical college system to identify the local middle and high school that they will work with, what system they would actually be working with.
One other question, a totally different subject, about the financial contribution page here. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the student to work, STW.
School to work.
School to work.
Uh-huh.
School to work, okay.
Uh-huh.
How does someone apply for that grant? Is this a state from the Fed, or is it?
Actually, the $1 million was from out of the DTAE budget. The $500,000 was we used federal grant money from the School to Work grant that we already had at the agency and put into this grant. The colleges really didn't see any difference in whether it was School to Work or DTAE monies. They just applied for the grant and were.
So this is a state effort, not a local technical college effort?
Correct. It's a state effort.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Any other questions, members? Representative Royal.
Dr. Hill.
Yes, sir.
Would you put on Southwest Georgia's technical hat now?
Okay.
I notice you're not.
It never comes off.
Yeah. Well, I noticed it's not on the schedule today or tomorrow to appear before this committee. Now, you either don't have any needs, or you weren't invited, or what?
I'm number 14 on the major list. I'm number 12 on the minor list, and I'm committed to following the list that the agency has put out there. I hope Kathy gets her building.
You mean you're satisfied with your position on the capital outlay?
No. You know I want the rest of my building, Richard. No, I'm not happy with it.
Tell us a little bit about your health building, that you got part of the money one year, you got it built, only part of it, and then all of a sudden you disappeared completely off the radar screen.
Well, you know, it was one of those years where they jumped over a few, and I was one that they jumped over, and they funded several below. And actually, thanks to you, Richard, you got some money put back in, but it was half of what we had requested. So I just say I've got half my building, and I'm going to get the other half one day. I hope y'all fund way down, because that moves me up if we stick to this priority list. But no, I'm not happy. I wanted to be number 1 on the list. But
what is the remaining portion of that building amount?
It would probably be about $9 million.
And it's an allied health building?
It is.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, got one question here.
Chairman, I don't. That allied health seems to be the industry where most of the increase in enrollment is coming from, because all of the technical schools seem to be going to the allied health. And I know at the Atlanta area technical college, we trying to do the same thing. And we look like we've been bumped around on the list too. So, but that looked like where the increase in our enrollment in technical schools is going, and something that this committee and the appropriation committee really need to look at in trying to be sure that these schools are getting funded, because if we see that the technical schools is where we need to help as higher education, seem to mean that we need to get a little more money out of the appropriation budget for technical schools.
If I could just add to that, that need is going to become greater and greater every day. None of us in here are getting any younger, and as the boomers start through, the need for healthcare professionals is going to be way, way beyond what we can fulfill.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. We're running behind. We're trying to catch up.
You're not going to ask me the foundation. I'll tell you about my foundation later, Bob.
We'll get you there. Thank you very much. Next is, we have two left, so appreciate your patience out there. We're running about 7 minutes behind, I think. Dr. Tom Horton with Georgia Tech Research Institute. Andrew? And Andrew Harris. Appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you very much. Actually, my name is Steve Cross, and Dr. Horton has laryngitis today, so I'll do it. I'm a vice president at Georgia Tech and professor in engineering, and I'm also the director of the Georgia Tech Research Institute. So, Chairman Smith, we appreciate time to talk to you. Representative Royal, glad to see you. Members, I'm going to try to buy you some time. I have a short message, but it's a message of great gratitude. We appreciate at Georgia Tech what you do for higher education, and our requests for the Georgia Tech Research Institute are in line with the governor's recommended budget. We appreciate greatly that the amended 06 budget includes a correction of $553K for frankly a budget mistake that was made a year ago. That's rectified in 06. It's rectified in the recommended 07 budget. So we appreciate that very much. There's also $144K increase that I'll tell you briefly about for a program in worker safety. What I'd like to do is just spend 3 or 4 minutes giving a thumbnail sketch. I won't go through each one of the view graphs. I can certainly provide more information about what the Georgia Tech Research Institute, an integral part of Georgia Tech, is all about. Legislature chartered us in 1919. We were first funded by the legislative budget in 1934. Our job is applied research. People ask me all the time, what is applied research versus regular research? Research university, professors, graduate students come up with ideas. Those ideas become new technology. Some entrepreneur takes that technology forward for the benefit of society. Applied research actually looks at problems that society has. And the sponsors want creative solutions for those problems. And that's what applied research is all about. We were created to solve problems for industry in Georgia and thus help industry. What we are at the current time is 700 research scientists and engineers, world-class people, complemented by 240 students. And one of the good messages about GTRI is we're the largest employer of cooperative education students at Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech is the largest cooperative education program in the country. So this is a combination of real work experience as an engineer in parallel with the education programs at Georgia Tech. My favorite story of one of the things we did this last year, and I'm at fault for not bringing the November issue of Rolling Stone magazine, but on page 83, for the first time ever, Georgia University was featured in Rolling Stone magazine, and we were featured for a military vehicle that we prototyped. By combining our knowledge of Army and Marine needs in Iraq with designers in the NASCAR industry. And we prototyped a vehicle that was driven by the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and funding has been provided to continue that into a limited production phase in the next year.
that's much more fuel efficient than the Humvees in Iraq, uses lightweight armor that was designed by an undergraduate student at Georgia Tech working with us, and actually provides air conditioning for the soldiers. And a lot of the deaths are occurring because the people are taking off their armor because it's 140 degrees inside the vehicles. So this has direct benefit to our soldiers in Georgia that are overseas at the current time, and it's an example of the innovation that's solving an important problem. A lot of other things we've done. The National Amber Alert System is probably one of my favorite examples. Through internet standards that we created at GTRI, we were able to help get that system to find lost kids around the country up and working. And the real story behind that is it was an innovative approach to get databases, legacy databases of every law enforcement established around the country talking to each other at a very low-cost, creative way. Many other examples, we work on Homeland Security, sensors, IT. We work on brownfield remediation. So the fact that we now have an Atlantic Station is an example of applied research that we've helped with over the years. Many other examples. Probably the other story is with the state funds that are provided to us, there's about an over 20-to-1 return on investment with the federal funds that we bring in to the Institute. So I wanted to thank you for that. We're diversifying the work now into biotech, medical, dental industry. This past year we started some innovative material and computer-aided design research for dentists, working with dentists at the Medical College of Georgia. And that sets the stage for the second budget line that's part of GTRI. This is the Agricultural Technology Research Program. This program has existed for 33 years. It's consistently cited as one of the top 10 programs in the country. On May 19th of last year, the governor helped christen our new research building. State funds were used to build part of that building, but industry funds were used. We had the 10 largest poultry companies in the country helped underwrite the cost of that building. And they have people there doing research with us every day. One of the things that's starting to work on then is worker safety in the poultry industry. Very important for Georgia. Increasing incidents of back problems, wrist problems. Baseline on work we've done in the past in prostheses and worker safety, we're going to customize a program for needs in that area. The last thing I'd mention in terms of how we support education in Georgia is through the continuing education. My research engineers teach over half of the continuing education courses through Georgia Tech, and these include programs in worker safety, which we teach both in English and Spanish, which I think is increasingly important for the workforce in this state. A quick thumbnail sketch on GTRI. I really appreciated a chance just to spend a few minutes with you to explain what we do, and again, I really appreciate all the support. Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions. Probably took me more than 3 or 4 minutes, but I get excited about what we're doing, so I apologize for that.
That's great. Members of the committee.
How do one get in your, like for instance, you mentioned the Atlantic Station and the brownfield. Mm-hmm. How do you get involved in that with Georgia Tech?
Well, these are collaborative activities within Georgia Tech because when I mentioned the Georgia Tech Research Institute, we work very closely also with other entities at Georgia Tech in chemistry, College of Architecture. And we're looking for opportunities. There's opportunities suggested by you all and our alumni network, et cetera. So
if a development was going on and brownfield was a part of that development and needed some technical
absolutely. We'd be happy to talk to them, sir. Matter of fact, one of the things that was real helpful for these projects is with our College of Architecture, we run what's called a geoinformation center. So we have all of the overhead imagery of the state, and we can go down to very fine resolution to do initial studies of this. And we do this all the time over the state.
So I guess when during the Olympics, we had a row of buildings in Summerhill, and we wanted to save those buildings, but also make them look better during the Olympics. And yes, we had the architecture class
yes, sir.
From Georgia Tech to get involved with some of the owners. And so I guess that would have been out of this particular kind of program, applied research.
We certainly contributed that at GTRI. The College of Architecture has specialists in urban planning and in those areas as well, sir.
Okay.
And we're part of the state, and we're here to serve. So we're happy to answer questions of that type at any time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Techie over there, you surely got a question.
Thank you, sir.
I've got a question. I was noticing about your innovative fuel cell technology.
Sure.
Yet to see nanotechnology anywhere in this this handout here, and I know that you're very close to that industry.
Yes, sir. I'd like to say that if I tell you about the specific things we're doing in nanotechnology, I'll have to shoot myself. But some of the things are classified. But we're doing some very interesting things in what I call conformal antennas with nanotechnology. So it's the manufacturing of nanotechnology materials that we're working very closely with the School of Physics and Material Science at Georgia Tech. And the new nanotechnology research building that you've heard about, we'll have some space in that building as well. What we envision is we'll be able to do with these materials, for instance, you'll be able to take the skin of an airplane and embed the sensors in that airplane. So airplanes will fly more fuel efficiency because the sensors will be embedded right in the skin. You can think about that on the bumpers of automobiles as well. So that's a lot of the work we're doing is actually in some classified military areas, but those are examples of what could be unclassified commercial opportunities. But actually taking things now, we're thinking sensors, radars, big dish antennas, things like that, and it would just be part of the metal fabric of vehicles. And we're learning how to manufacture those as we speak.
If you were to break down your funding by percentage, where would it come from? State, federal, private?
I'd say, and these are approximate numbers. I can give you the exact numbers. Matter of fact, they're in a pie chart there. But from memory, 85% is from federal sources at this point in time. Roughly about 10% are from state sources. That's really about 8% from state sources, and the rest is from industry and teaching that we do. Now, my task, I've been at Georgia Tech for 2.5 years now. My task is to continue to do the excellence we do in the federal government. The Department of Defense, Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, et cetera. But go back to our historic role at GTRI, which was created to benefit industry in Georgia. So we want to grow this industry work, make these engineers that we have more readily available to industry in Georgia. And we're starting to do that by working more closely with economic development activities at Georgia Tech. And so that's part of our charge over the year. So you should expect when I come back to see our revenues increasing. I said 20 to 1. Well, you should hold me accountable for 25 to 1 or 30 to 1 in the future. So. And I hope that's not on the record, but it probably is. So.
I think we could listen to you for another hour, but we're down to the last
okay.
one here now. But
thank you, sir.
Oh,
yes.
One question.
With the high cost of energy in this state, are you all doing anything in with trying to come up with a idea how we can do better in providing energy?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
we're part of a university's initiative called the Strategic Energy Initiative, and we're looking in Savannah, in our campus there, we're looking at wind power off the coast. Fuel cells, which is a hydrogen economy example, is part of it. Atlantic Station is actually a test bed for these things because of the solar power, the fuel cells, the inexpensive natural gas, which comes from methane, from landfills, et cetera. One of the things that Georgia Tech will be able to contribute is not a silver bullet solution, but a system solution that will integrate all of these alternate energy sources together, and that's what we're going to be able to contribute.
And y'all going to have some kind of report available
yes, sir.
soon?
And we've stood up an initiative that involves the entire university, so this is a major thrust of Georgia Tech.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir. Appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
The last one, sir, is, and by the way, I wanted to say one more time, tomorrow afternoon at Georgia Public Broadcasting will be at their Studio 3 for a live subcommittee meeting. And then Thursday we'll do this again with another 15, I think, college presidents. So Dr. Bill McLaughlin, help me pronounce that.
McGathlin.
McGathlin.
But
at Armstrong Atlantic State University.
Yes,
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill McGathlin. I sure appreciate you and the members of the committee allowing me to represent Armstrong Atlantic State University. And I also want to thank Representative Lester Jackson and Representative Buddy Carter, some part of an outstanding Chatham County delegation that came to be with us this afternoon. I do want to first thank you for the excellent support that this committee Okay.
We're live on the internet, and they do want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
In front of the mic.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The excellent support this committee just consistently gives higher education and the support that you continue to provide the university system in their pursuit of a more educated Georgia. I also want to thank certainly the governor for including and identifying Armstrong's Leadership Hall as one of his capital projects. I also want to thank Chancellor Cummings, Senior Vice Chancellor Tom Daniels, and Vice Chancellor Linda Daniel for supporting this project and encouraging Armstrong to find private funding partners and to help these partners see the advantage of investing in Armstrong. Leadership Hall is a good example of this partnership, of a partnership project. What we are taking is the governor's $5 million project and ratcheting up to a major $12 million project through the support of our foundation and private donations to this project. So we're very excited that this will be a $12 million project. On the second page of that handout, you can see that for the past 3 years, Armstrong has not been waiting on state dollars, but that we have been looking for creative ways in utilizing our foundation to fund critically needed projects on campus. And so you can see the list on that second page. The impact of this project is that it will chip away at what our master planners tell us are about 200,000 square foot deficit of academic space, and this will be an academic building, as that first page indicates, of classrooms and labs. We'll locate our honors program, our leadership studies program, computer laboratories will be included in Leadership Hall. We desperately need this space to provide some relief, particularly in two of our key areas. Health professions is a strategic strength of the university, and so is teacher education. You'll see on that third page, in reference to the health professions, the 22 programs and tracks, which is the most comprehensive health professions array of programs in the state. And you will see on the fourth page our growth over the years. You can see as far as our total head count over a 5-year period, we're up 28%. In health professions, 55%. And then in pre-health professions majors is a huge 89%. And these are individuals that are preparing to move into the health professions or waiting for a opening in one of those programs. All of the programs and health profession programs are nationally accredited. They're all maxed out. They all have waiting lists. So that's the good news, but we have a challenge and to address a major waiting list. You can see on that last page, if we pull these figures from the Georgia Hospital Association and the Department of Labor, where we have in 2004
241 graduates. That includes graduates from the Armstrong program, the Coastal Georgia program, and Georgia Southern program. But all those programs are at a maximum level. And you can see the projected need is growing. So we have a major challenge ahead of us to meet just in this one area of nurses in southeast Georgia. We also feel like this building, as far as Leadership Hall, will provide some relief space for our teacher education program. We are doing more in reaching out through our Brunswick Center and Liberty Center in teacher education. We also have, I don't know whether you're familiar, an alternative teacher education program where we bring individuals with bachelor's degrees that are looking to change and pursue the teaching profession. And these individuals with a bachelor's degree, does that mean my time's up, that ringing? No. That they pursue this program in the summer of intensive preparation during the summer, and they're in the classroom in August. And then they go through 2 years of coursework, but they're in the classroom. And we produce about 80 that way through this alternative teacher prep program. So we had an information session getting ready for this coming summer. 57 people, standing room only, showed up for the information session, and 2 of them were civil engineers looking to go into teaching. So we're excited about that program. And again, we just want to thank you for the support that you provide, and hope you will continue to support this project. And I can assure you that we'll continue to look for partners in the Savannah region. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Brunswick, the Brunswick, Savannah coastal area, and because they were pulling these figures from the Brunswick Hospital and the 2 major hospital systems in Savannah. In fact, many of you know Bob Coven, the president CEO of Memorial, and he made a presentation at our Board of Regents meeting in April, and said that day he could hire 150 nurses that day. So we've got a tremendous challenge, and I appreciate Representative Martin and Royal. They've always asked about where's your major. Well, it's number 15 on the list, and so I knew you were going to ask me that question, and we're patiently awaiting as that major project moves up.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
What other colleges are along this coastal area that also would collaborate with you on this shortage of health professionals?
Coastal Georgia Community College and Georgia Southern would be the ones that have a health professions programs in place.
Now, if you did this, what percentage of this projected need would you fulfill?
Well, some of those programs, probably not in terms of nurse, it'd be a relatively small percentage. It would just allow many of the other programs you see listed on that 3rd page, which are just looking for classroom space. So it would be a relatively small percentage. What we've done, we've presented last June to the Board of Regents for a College of Health Professions building. Now, it did not make the list, but we basically have about 40,000 square feet committed to health professions, and we need to triple that to address this. It's space, The hospitals will provide great support for the faculty lines. We just need to create the space.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
On the Armstrong and Atlantic State University Foundation,
Yes, sir.
funding $7 million according to this
Yes, sir.
front sheet, and 5 you're requesting as a minor project.
Yes, sir.
Tell me real quickly how the foundation raised that $7 million.
Well, they're going to. Right now they've got commitments at about $2 million from private donors. They're trying to move that to $3 million, and then they'll bond the rest.
Thank you. Members of the committee?
I'm sorry, but my
Yes, sir.
question was just in general to if there's. I know Ms. Daniels here and some other folks for the Regents, and it kind of goes to your building, your request for space, and I don't know if anybody from the commissioner's office with DTAE is here, but we're space constrained. I mean, I think that's a given that we hear. I know today was capital needs, so that's what we're hearing. But we keep hearing we're space constrained, and yet in some of these cases where the community colleges and the technical and adult education are looking for buildings, they're building satellite campuses out in other places in the community, which is a good thing. You know, we asked last year, the chairman asked, you know, the regents to collaborate with DTAE, to collaborate with K through 12, because capital is hard to come by. You know, I'd like to know when we get together again, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, what are we looking at to try to leverage that capital, first of all, between us? I don't think we've done enough, just to be honest. I don't think we've done enough. And the second thing is, in various places in the state where business has moved, or, you know, I know of private industry where there were large training centers where they trained corporate executives prior to 911, where they were built state-of-the-art educational delivery for corporations and cities that are you know, dim now. They're not being used because there's less corporate travel going on after 9/11 than there is today. I'd like to know if we've looked at, if you have space that you could find in your area, that we could turn the lights on faster. You know, I know everybody wants a new building on their campus. Right. I mean, that's just what presidents do. That's you know, it's good to have it there. There's reasons for synergies, but I would just like to know, we need teachers so bad, we need health professionals so bad. If there's a better way, a faster way to get that done, I'm convinced that across the state of Georgia there's space available for lease that we could put in production. And my last question to the Regents and to DTA, if anybody's here, is, you know, how much better are we doing this year than last year? You know, how many more people are going through the system to become licensed or educated in their professional areas to deliver health care and to deliver education, and how many of those are actually working in the state? I'd like to know how we're looking there as we go forward. I appreciate the chairman for letting me vent a little bit.
Representative Royal.
No, you raised some interest. You say you're going to bond the balance of that project. How do you amortize those bonds?
I don't have the facts, but I will get you that information because the foundation is working that out now. But we'll get that to you.
Okay.
Any other questions? I guess the chairman. There we go.
That's an interesting point because, I mean, we see all over this state and all over this country where we turning buildings into loft for housing. Mm-hmm. And obviously we got to look at that in the same vein, because in some of those buildings, to balance off the finances for the building, we use our students. We got them to move into those facilities. And I think that's what my colleague is talking about. Instead of all of us building a brand new building, when it come down to housing, we got to look at some other resources than everybody build a brand new building for housing. And hope that the region and the technical college is looking at that, because, you know, if we really trying to house some of our students. And the other point that he raised about the industry, I think that it's a known fact that in our healthcare industry that there is a need for more jobs. I mean, that is one place that we're going to create a lot of jobs in this country is in the healthcare field, and we might as well get ready for that. And if the technical school is the institutions that are going to train these students, the state of Georgia just got to get ready for spending some money to help the technical school provide the education opportunity.
Yes.
And thank you. We didn't mean to make you the fire starter.
Thank
we do appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.